All right. Hey, why isn't that showing up? That's because I minimized it. All right. Let me rearrange these last little bits here because I'm not as prepared as I should be. But hello, welcome to another night of court-ordered mandatory community service, where we will be playing more Dungeons and or Dragons. Oh, someone maximized my browser. That's why it looks like butt.
Oh, again.
Let's see. All right. All
More
right.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh.
Indeed. All right. And then we zoom out of the doohickey, and then we slide this doohickey to that way.
What if we just turned it around and busted out Uno right now?
That would actually be
For
pretty
all
damn hilarious if you ask me.
Yeah.
We subvert expectations here. I prefer to roll moon pies. Ooh. Roll Twinkies? Ooh. Crap. Now I want something delicious to eat. In any case, all right. Let's see. So let's start with some brand new business. For those of you that are playing the home version of the game, there are now channel points that can be spent to screw with absolutely anybody. Anybody. Yes, that's right. You can save up your points and throw them to turn any roll into a 1. Or, 20. I mean, there's also that one, but no one would actively use that. That would be dumb. No. All we care about is screwing with the players, not the DM, just the players. Nonetheless, yes. To recap, for those that missed last episode, the players finalized the tomb/dungeon that they had gone through and egressed on out and met with good old Smiling Jonah and managed to actually ascertain that, yes, he did have a way off the island. And after a little bit of bickering with him, we won't really touch on that, but he is not the most loved person that anyone has encountered at this point. Everybody got on a boat, remembered that there were other people on the island that needed to be rescued, and then there was a bit of a very heartfelt talk between all the players where they just completely dogpiled on Sophia, and things are different all of a sudden. Where we thought one way was going, now another way is happening. Nonetheless, everybody's on a page. I won't say the same page, but there are pages involved. And they are now sailing to the city of Ansia on the continent of Rovala. And I believe someone has an interesting plan in order to take away the staff that you traded to Smiling Jonah in order to have this wonderful voyage that you are now upon. So I'm going to let you guys take it away. I was going to say we fast forward to Ansia, but no, I think someone wants to appropriate the staff before things get too close to port. So handing it over to you, wonderful players.
I'm bow fishing. No one said anything, so I
off of a boat that's moving at like how fast do like boats go? Like it's measured in knots. Is like 10 knots fast?
I think so.
I have no idea.
I had to assume that you can't hit fish, so you're probably like porpoise fishing or something, great white shark fishing, or perhaps blue dragon water fishing.
Oh, you could totally fish off the back of a sailboat.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this isn't a sailboat. This is like a Pirates of the Caribbean sized
like a
boat.
large sailing ship.
All right. Okay. Well, I stand corrected because I am not a sailologist. I failed that.
It would be trolling. You wouldn't cast. You just let it dangle out the back and hope something bit it. But
I don't think that works with his bow, though.
Very much not so.
All right, we're gonna have to pause this campaign until we figure out the exact semantics of
bow fishing.
Bow fishing off
bow
the.
Fishing.
Oh yeah. He was bow fishing. I thought he said.
Yeah, no, 100%. I have rope tied to my bow,
luck.
and I'm not.
Good luck.
So
it is a 2-master, 3-deck ship. I just made it up. I don't actually know. It's
probably a classic galleon then.
Yeah.
Wait, no.
Still not a boatologist in the last 30 seconds.
So,
Wait.
Mortanis, I need to point this out. Due to a lot of technical difficulties, the day after our last session, I ended up having to factory reset my entire OS, and I lost all of my notes and everything I had planned. So, could you give me a brief plan of what I did with Anakai so far?
Of what you've done with him as a character?
No, at least on the boat for the preparation of the heist.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he just messed with me the entire time. That was it.
No, I remember you very clearly. You're a terrible,
Oh.
terrible, 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 terrible individual.
I haven't killed anyone yet.
Neither have I. Look at that.
Close.
All I recall is that you had talked
Um,
with someone about their ability, I think it was Urlotza, to
Yes.
fashion a mimic staff that would look identical, and that was about as far as we actually got on a plan.
Right, and then I went and got food, and I went to go scout out his quarters, which is,
Yep.
I believe, where I left off on that. So cool. And his quarters, what would you like me to roll?
Just a simple investigation check on that one.
Investigation. You got it.
Oh, and that attack roll of 15 nets you a fish. It can be any fish
Hell
you
yeah.
want.
Oh god. Oh, now I need to see like sea fish.
Big fish, small fish.
You've given him many choices this day.
Big fish. Real big
How
fish.
about a marlin?
Sure. I don't know if marlins are
Marlin.
found in this part of the world. You guys are pushing the limits of my DM credibility. All right,
Well,
give me that
it was-
investigation.
Oh, all right. I never reinstalled.
Marlins
the
are
A
good.
shark would be
D&D
okay.
Beyond.
I caught a no, I
Uh-oh.
caught a shark. 100% caught a shark.
Well, don't mind me, since I don't have the D&D plugin, Beyond plugin right now. That is a D20 plus 6, 21. All right.
Okay. So, as noted, the second deck is going to be more or less crew quarters. Your side is the side that's just basically open barracks where anybody that's part of the crew or you guys, because this is mostly a person transport, can hang a hammock and sleep the night away. On the other side are the more cabin-like rooms, and it's not too hard to find the one that Smiling Jonah is in because it's the only one with the door closed and a external lock on it. Or I should say an internal lock on it, because otherwise he's just locked himself in the room and that'd be hilarious. But it is the only one that's closed, and you can hear him on the other side of the door doing a little hum and drum beat on something. He's Exactly.
Okay. No, you're saying that's coming from his office?
Yeah, coming from the room, his cabin.
Okay, so the last time I remember, he was up on the deck still with the load side. He was still up there, which is why I was getting the food and bringing it in because no one was in there yet.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. So no humming, no drumming. No humming and drumming. That's, yep.
Okay, so I guess since I rolled, that was a 21 for investigation inside his room. For looking for any kind of things of note, in particular, any kind of like notes or plans he may have, and get a good layout of the entirety of the room.
Okay. He actually doesn't have an awful lot of stuff with him, aside from a very worn canvas knapsack type of a thing, meant to be slung over one shoulder. There is nothing else with that investigation that you can find. Nothing hidden, nothing left out, nothing underneath the bed covers. However, very carefully opening and unstringing the knapsack, you can see inside he's got a handful of artists type of tools. There's a handful of parchment that's rolled up into a scroll case. There's a small wooden case that when you crop it on open, there's a couple of pieces of chalk, a couple of pieces of charcoal. There's a ink pot with a cap on it and a couple of different quills and a lot of cartographers type of tools. In fact, he's got a very nice sextant in there, which is probably worth like 1,000 gold, just sitting on the bottom of his bag. But no plans, no confession notes of, after I get on the boat, I'm going to murder all of those idiots and, nothing of the sort.
Okay.
Oh,
now
and
what about-
an ass ton of beef jerky. I mean, just like 5 pounds of beef jerky,
I
just
am going to
crammed
cook
into
this man a
various,
shark and give it to him.
just crammed into various pouches on the sides, in the bag, on the bottom. I mean, it's just an awful lot of beef jerky.
I think I'm going to abscond with about half the beef jerky in this bag.
Okay,
Just-
2.5 pounds of beef jerky is an ass ton of beef jerky still. So
Yep. So 2.5 pounds of that. Just kind of stuff that in my bag, kind of snickering to myself for a moment. And when I look around the room, does there seem to be any kind of like hiding spots possible, or is it just like an open room with very little to hide around?
there is a, given that these cabins are actually meant to be used by more, I don't want to say dignitaries, but more upper scale passengers that would actually, throw money at this sort of a thing. There is a wardrobe on one wall that is fastened directly to it. It's small, barely larger than a broom closet, but it is person sized with a little bit of gut sucking. There is a footlocker style chest at the edge of a cot that is bolted down to the floor, and there are hanging posts on the corner where you could throw up a hammock should you wish. There's also a porthole that does open on out, though it is currently closed. It's not a like glass type of a one. It's just a simple shutter system over a circular hole to prevent water and wind from blowing in. But, you know, it can be accessed from the outside, though it would require squeezing for anyone that is medium or larger. Well, not even larger.
Then last question in the room, the door lock. Can I tamper with it so that even if he locks the door, it doesn't lock completely?
Give me a sleight of hand on that one.
All right, did I get the Beyond 20 to roll? Did it roll twice by accident?
It did, but a 12, yeah, you work with the lock, you jimmy it a little bit, you think you've got it, but you're not 100% sure until it actually happens.
Okay. And then I would like to plant from my inventory the shielded lantern of dimmer. And is there any lanterns like any similar shielded lanterns in the room you may be using for reading light or
Relatively similar. I mean, on anyone that bothers to pay attention to would notice that it's odd looking, but it's a relatively same shielded style lantern.
okay. I don't want to completely swap it out, but I will tuck away the lantern in the room, probably behind the wardrobe.
Okay, easy enough.
And I think that'll be it for me.
Okay. Anyone
I'll
else
take
have information, insights, or anything they'd like to do at the moment?
Did you get the whisper I sent you, by the way, Mortanis?
No. Let me click over to that tab because I've got 1,000 tabs here.
Yeah,
Ah!
I know. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, let's see here. I'm going to read this out loud to everybody.
I mean, it's not that important. It's not
I'm
a
not,
surprise
I'm
to
joking.
90% of
Dear
people.
Mortanis, have I told you lately that I love you?
Oh, yes, sure. Yeah, you can do exactly that.
Alright.
The what Blarg said, and then Mortanis is, oh yeah, sure.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I just tuned everybody out that I don't want to listen to, which is why like 99% of the world is just sounds like the adults in the Peanuts cartoons, you know. Exactly, that's how the world sounds to me. All right, so does anyone else have anything they would like to do at the moment?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I apologize. You go ahead.
okay. So I walked up to Oral and as it says in chat there, I was like, bet you can't do that again. And then pulled out my bow and started bow fishing as well. And so I got 16 on that. But that's all I did.
Oh, you're bow fishing as well. Okay. Yes, most likely you will also spear whatever he speared. Did we establish it's now marlin? You're just fishing marlins and sharks and shit?
I agree. I said I caught a shark.
Okay. Yes. Well, you can catch a fish with your bow as well.
Cool.
I mean,
Cool.
the
we have two
semantics
sharks.
of that, when you really think about it, I mean, you know, you firing into the water like 20, 30, 50 yards behind the boat. Do you have that much rope to tow it back in? How thick does the rope have to be? You've got like, you know, 1 inch thick rope or something. Nah, it's totally okay. You guys are just sitting off the back of the boat and firing off these arrows that are covered with gigantic ropes. I mean, you're professionals. That's how it's rolled, right?
You're essentially throwing
Yeah.
rope at them. Like,
I mean,
Last
if I just now thought about it, but I could really, if I wanted to, I could really use that Crimson Rite and have that fire bow and just cook it as I'm killing it.
Mm-hmm. I'm imagining
Well,
at
either-
some point the druid just leans over and just like gestures at the water and it fountains fish just right onto the deck. Is this what we were doing?
I was about to say.
So
I
there's-
used my speak with animals and asked the fish to just jump into the boat, and a shower of fish rained down on the deck.
I mean, it'd be pretty impressive that the fish can jump 3 decks on up, but you know, at this point we're suspending all disbelief, so you know,
Inspiration.
yeah, a whole school of fish just arc gracefully like Free Willy and splash down on the deck, and yeah.
So there's 2 sharks and a whole school of fish
Yeah.
on the deck of this boat. You imagine like
It's
the captain. the captain's just like, on one hand she's annoyed because there's like a mess on her deck, but on the other hand she's not really that annoyed because it's like an
All
endless
this
amount
food.
of all the food that we just like.
And former Captain Andrus Chainbreaker's just staring. Oh, you can summon a bunch of fish, but you can't blow the wind.
I just keep seeing the scene from Finding Nemo where they go to touch the butt, and then like they just get spoken to, and then they all just jump into the butt, and like now it's just the entire cast of Finding Nemo is just like drowning on deck. You're like, well, this is morbid. You just start killing them. Just poor.
All
Well,
right,
it wasn't
so-
morbid until you made it morbid.
Well, yeah. So the fishing competition goes quite well, etc. Does anyone else have anything before we fast forward to evening?
I was so I just left Alois's wait.
Eolus?
No, yeah, I couldn't say it. I'm sorry. Eolus's room, and yes,
Right
it was
after
just-
stripping him, mostly.
Yes. Well, no, he stripped himself.
Oh, good point. Yeah, you didn't lay hands
yeah,
on him.
He was about one question away from me stripping him, but he saved me. So I believe I would have been going up deck until I see the fishing competition, and then I would have tried to find whatever part of the deck is not anywhere near any of the others, and I just would have spent a moment out on the deck trying to, I guess, calm down and pretend to be thinking about the scales on Eolus's chest, but just a bit upset. And then after a while, I would retire back to whatever rooms that we've picked out. I'm assuming that there's a whole mess of them just open and
Yeah, currently you guys don't have to be in the barracks, but you know. Also, you managed it. The basic furthest place from any of your quote unquote party would be near the front, where actually your horse is just standing on deck because there's no way to get him down into the hold while at sea. And you know, horses just absolutely love being on a pitching ship. So
Also, Sam definitely was staring at you the second you came out of the room.
yes, and I probably didn't even notice. I wouldn't have even looked. I would have
No,
been
she's
thinking
following you
about
anyway.
Eolus's chest.
We're back to the stalking session.
In that
I'm
case,
sure you would, Sophia.
thank you. In that case, I would like to roll just a simple animal handling, just to make sure that the horse is staying nice and calm and doesn't feel like reverse free willing into the water. Make sure
reverse
that
free
it is-
willying, where free willy was graceful. This would be the horses hitting the edge of the deck railing and spiraling legs up into the air into the ocean. Bam!
That's bad.
But I mean, the ship just pitches enough that the horse just slides, thunk, splash, shit.
I would be very upset. So I'm just trying to comfort the horse.
Okay.
Oh Jesus, that was about to be a 2. Oh,
Oh,
God.
hey, but
Okay.
at least there was no nat one or well, yeah, that's pretty good. The horse calms visibly and looks for carrots and shit. So
And I look at him and I'm saying, Hubert, I don't have anything. I should have brought something. And I just begin to just look around in my pack to see if I have anything. And I don't really have anything of worth. I don't have any like sugar cubes. And I make a mental note to get sugar cubes.
yeah, when you're digging through your
have an
pack,
ample
there's
amount of fish.
I don't think horse are pescatarians. I'm not sure though. But digging through your pack, it's pretty obvious that you don't have sugar cubes, you don't have carrots, you don't have a cloak of protection or a dagger +1. None of those things are in the backpack.
I just imagine you
I-
sitting there like, where is my stuff?
Udalota walks up and offers Sophia a handful of berries to give to the horse.
I pulled these off of myself. Guess where?
Off my bush.
Yeah. I guess I take his dingleberries and I look at him and say, yeah, is this something that they can eat safely?
It is.
It did. Berries have almost killed that druid once. So the other druid, not this one.
And I nod my head and I say, thank you, I appreciate it. And I take one of them out, and I do smell it just for a moment, and then I do offer it to the horse.
The horse seems to enjoy.
Yes. Okay, good. And I'll just, I guess, bit by bit, just give him a single berry, and then wait. And if he, gets his
Explodes or
big
dies or something, yeah. I'm assuming that the berries are okay, just so yeah, everything should be good.
Yes. And I just, I'll just spend my time, now that Udalota has walked over, it looks more, I'm just casually making sure the horse is fed, and I'll visibly just like pat its flank and be like, yes, this is very healthy. It should be able to carry many things for us. Good. I'm glad. And then just kind of slowly walk over to the side of the ship.
Are you not entertained by the bounty that we have provided for you?
And I look over and I see the rest of them, and I'm like, shouldn't we all be going to sleep soon? I'm sure that we could all use a bit of rest after our last encounter.
Oh, especially after the private time you and Yola seem to have.
Oh yeah, she did. She did
Like,
skulk over to that. I remember that.
Like you just hear like a schoolyard like "Ooh."
From the back of the boat, like
Just
30 yards away.
No! And I
You
look
too,
over.
she kissed.
I look over and I say, "Oh, great, the Snake Woman's here." Yes. What are you talking about? This. Yes, I was with Aeolus. There was something that piqued my curiosity, and I sated it quite quickly. Is there a problem with this?
I could tell, though I must say, didn't expect you to really be into that kind of thing.
Well,
Even I'm not that bold to ask someone that fast.
well, if you've known me at least for a split second, you know I'm someone who's quite thorough. I don't do a half-measured work. So if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it to the fullest of my capabilities. And I'm surprised that no one else was curious about this fact, and no one else has attempted to do it before this.
It's at this time Anakai walked up and goes, "Oh, there's the guys. Ah, yes, I'm very thorough. I'm walking away from this one." Just turn right back around and go back downstairs.
So, Aeolus,
Nope.
did she satisfy you then?
I think Aeolus is still in
Aeolus
his.
is-
Oh no, he's fishing off the back of the boat, right?
Yeah, I'm just like bow fishing and knowing everyone else around me.
I'm gonna go hang with the Aeolus because he's not talking about uncomfortable topics.
I will say, Danzig, I am also there bow fishing. I'm just warning you.
But he's talking about the uncomfortable topics.
Well, I was purposely trying to avoid the peanut gallery and their machismo of man fishing, but I guess that they overheard us. So yes, but I finished my business, and if you'll excuse me, I'm quite tired, and I'd like to drop in for the night, and I will just turn around and I will offer the rest of the berries if the horse would like them to him, and just pat the neck more like an amicable, like good boy kind of thing, and
Throwing everyone off the scent. No one suspects.
I want
it.
an insight check.
insight check me patting the horse, please do it.
You're lying. You care.
Do you actually love this horse?
Oh,
Do you love this horse?
You notice that as I pat it, I'm actually there's just the slightest hint of a caress upon his neck as I'm patting it.
I now have the ultimate power.
But yes, other than that, I'm.
That knowledge was all I needed to win this game.
When you don't win this game, when you leave, Udalota leans over the horse and says, "She's a strange one, is she not?"
I like that, the druid would consider conversing with an animal to basically be at the same level as conversing with the party. In fact, I'm assuming at later points, you're probably going to point out that there's 7 party members and try to get the horse into an inn and its own bed and stuff. There is 7 of us. As Sophia wanders on down the stairs into the belly of the ship, Captain Chainbreaker, former Captain Chainbreaker, I should say, is wandering his way up the stairs with a fairly hefty wineskin that does seem to be sloshing quite mirthfully in his hand. And he actually seems to have a rosy expression about him that implies that he's already 3 sheets to the wind. effectively. He smiles as you wander on down the stairs and then lifts up the wineskin in kind of a mock salute. I can't say that I remember the last time that I've had alcohol on a ship. As captain, I run a dry ship, and now it's a wet ship. And notably, his 2-day growth, which was almost a full beard for most people, is completely shaved off. He is back to his rugged bear dwarvenness. And he kind of pushes by you. Excuse me, I have many years to catch up on.
Yeah, and I just look at him as he passes by, and I'm like, I don't even dwarves, and I just walk downstairs.
Even go here.
Yes, I had something witty in mind, but I'm going to hold my tongue. It's already been a day, and I'll give him one day, one simple day.
He'll hold up the wineskin again in a kind of a cheer. Truer words have never been spoken, friend. I don't know what you said. And he'll stumble his way up the stairs.
And I just turn around and, oh great, now we have a drunk dwarf on the boat, along with whatever detritus came upon with it. Now I have to redo all of my notes, and I lament thinking about all the additional people I have to put within my notes, but it's late and I'm tired, more mentally than physically, and I will retire to whichever room has not been claimed yet. And before I go to bed, I will simply strip off my armor, make sure it is well taken care of, say a few prayers to Hazatl, and then I'll just turn in for the night.
Okay. As you're, getting ready for bed and whatnot, stripping down, getting things ready, the door bursts open. And Gerald Five Fingers stumbles on in. Oh, I thought this one was available. Excuse me, ma'am. I am so.
And I would like
he
to
just stands there.
I would like to cast command, and I will say grovel to him. Yes. Wait. I have spells. Yes, we took a rest.
Yes.
This is excellent.
Yes, you have.
Yes. And give me a second. Do I have to roll, or does he roll? Oh, it's a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, goody.
Yes.
Survey says he grovels.
And as he's sitting there, I assume I just have my small clothes. In the 7 seconds that he's groveling, I pick up my mace and I just walk over to him and I say, "You have 3 seconds to get out of my room." And this is still while he's groveling. So at about the 6th second, I say 1.
Sam is also just standing behind him at this point, by the way, because she 100% would have followed.
On his hands and knees, still groveling, he turns a 180 and hands and knees, elbows scraping the ground, the deck floor. "I'm sorry about this, ma'am. I have no idea what came over me. Please forgive me. I will do anything." And shuffle, scrape, shuffle. And continues the shuffle down the hall and into a completely other room on the other side. You can still hear the very faint shuffle, scrape, shuffle, scrape.
And Sophia is actually quite impressed, and she looks down and I didn't think it'd be that effective. And looks quite pleased, and looks up and notices that Samara is standing outside my door, and I just turn my head. "Yes, what is it? Are you a peeping Tom like that one over there, or do you have business?"
Well, I do believe I already asked you once if we could talk, although I'm not sure how much energy you have after fooling around with Eolus.
Okay, well, just come in. I won't be able to sleep regardless at this point. Just please lock the door behind you. I'm done with nuisances coming in unannounced.
Sam will just kind of nod and step her way in and lock the door behind her.
I'll just take my place on the bed. So what is this? Is this some sort of pep talk, possibly something else to undermine me? Plenty of the other group did that well enough tonight. So if you'd like to twist the dagger, now is your chance.
Well, I do understand we haven't known each other that long. Oh, who am I kidding? It doesn't hurt that you think that. It's rather safe to assume that, I suppose. And she's just gonna kind of prop herself up against the wall and cross her arms under her chest and just... No, as I said before, you're a very interesting person.
I'll try to take that as something positive, though I don't really care. Though something has piqued my interest. You and the other, Anakai, yes, it's his name. You seem to be quite close, and yet you are nothing alike. How exactly did you come upon each other? And why exactly are you here to begin with?
Well, I'm rather surprised that you care, or maybe you don't. After all, information's very, very powerful depending on what kind of sources you have. I've known him for a few years, actually. And, well, I caught him stealing from me, to be quite frank, I suppose.
Yeah, somehow that does not come to a surprise to me.
Hmm.
Yes, I did notice that the cloak and the dagger were missing, you monster. But whatever. I noticed the dagger beforehand. This is out of character. I should change my voice. I know you took it, you monster.
Really
You're a monster. But as I was checking the pack, I know that he took the dagger. I didn't know about the cloak. There was no sugar cubes and there was no cloak. So words will be spoken. But yes, anyways.
So, I got my thing. I retrieved what he stole from me, and very quickly realized he was not normal. And no, I do not say that because the fact he has ears and a tail. And Tim kind of actually, like, not necessarily gets flustered, but she kind of, like, stops for a second as if to try and sort out what she's gonna say.
Please don't tell me that he has hairballs or something like that. Or do the cats do the one thing where their hair goes up and they do the motion? It's disgusting.
Not as far as I'm aware, at least.
Okay.
As much as I'm aware that I don't shed my skin. But...
Oh. And I do take out the notebook and I do jot that down real quick under
Sam's
her
just
name.
gonna kind of smirk with that and just... No, it's more... You're more interested in the use of people. I'm more interested in almost that, but a different way. How they use what they have, rather. So, I find people very interesting. What drives them, what makes them do anything, what makes them tick. Because in the end, if you can find out that information, you can crush them, or boost them up, depending on whatever your feelings may be. And he, I noticed, and I'm sure you have as well, is very different when it comes to something he vehemently enjoys, which is the raiding of places to find artifacts or any other little trinkets or things like that.
Yes, I did notice that he had a bit of a switch of personality when we were in the mausoleum. He actually spoke, which was interesting, but he also exerted his will, and that isn't something that he does very often. Of course, except for tonight, which was quite lovely. So, you're telling me that he's some sort of crypt-driving kleptomaniac, if what I'm taking your information. I only want to know because I'd like to know who I'm supposed to keep my purse close against, and who those I can trust my belongings with.
Well, if you want me to be honest with you, for right now, don't trust your belongings with anybody. Because... And she's gonna kind of pause again, just... What Anakai did was definitely out of character, at least from what I know of him. It is very rare that he stays so specific to what he truly thinks, especially of somebody, especially in their presence. So, I don't believe the intent was there, but I must say that did turn around quite surprisingly, and I did not really expect it.
Yes, you're not the only one. Then again, I did not expect the dagger in my chest, or apparently the dagger in the other's chest.
Yeah, that's a nervous habit. You learn very quickly not to do that, and she'll kind of rub her own chest and like look off to the side.
And I'll look at her chest, and that actually will make her smile. That's actually pretty hilarious. It was interesting. I took you as more of I was going to try to find some other way to say it, but the roundabout is pretty lackluster.
Roundabout's
I thought
boring.
exactly. I thought you were more of an airhead when I first met you. I didn't really see much worth in you, but I see that appearances are a bit deceiving. You're a little more, I guess, conniving isn't the right word. I'm sorry. Positive words don't really come close to the tongue, but other ones do quite well.
No, trust me, you're perfectly fine. I've heard much worse.
Well, if we can agree that the situation bringing us, I guess, into this circumstance and us being bound by whatever power is giving us these visions, I have a lot of thinking to do about this group of ours and where our objective lies. It seems that my methods are more disagreeable than Anakai's or the others. And it has been a very long time since I've been challenged like that. I'm a bit out of my element. I don't know these people, I don't know the situation, and it's difficult to and she realizes that she's just ranting on and opening up, and that's the last thing that she wants to do.
And Sam is absolutely going to notice that and just smirk and just kind of just wait, just.
Yes. It is late though, and I'm sure you have daggers to dodge. So have a good night, and thank you for the information on Anakai. That is,
of course. Though, something to keep in mind. I definitely do agree with I can't speak for all the group. I definitely agree with Anakai in some cases, especially of you being more abrasive and very much to the point. But that isn't always necessarily a bad thing. But at the same time, people are very, very fickle. And they are very carefully balanced in terms of everything. Emotion, what they believe is right, their beliefs, the gods, everything. Everything can change in a split second, or some just stay stubborn. Something you may need to try and keep note of is you emphasized a lot of how willing you were to get rid of people the second they were not useful to you. But if that is the case, if you do not believe in paying back, I suppose, or honoring what someone has done for you in the past, it may be very difficult for people to believe, or rather to continue following you, if they believe the second that they become not useful, you will throw them away like nothing they did in the past mattered. Because a lot of people believe in history. A lot of people believe in things like past actions and how they define a person and all that other shit. So, just keep in mind that if you're trying to rally people or get people to continue to follow you, as much as you dislike it, something you may want to learn to do is play to what their belief is. Learn what it is, and maybe simply twist some words around. Make it still in your favor while still appealing to their sense.
Yes, you are much different than I thought you were. Well, my original plan was I was just going to bash one of them to death in front of the others and show dominance, but your idea is good as well.
Yeah, I can almost guarantee you that one would have not ended well for many people.
Yeah,
Well, no,
it depends on
just
which
the
one.
one I bashed. Yes, exactly.
Well, that and also the chaos that comes after. Cause and effect is terrifying.
Thank you, Samara. You may leave now.
Though I'd really prefer if you just call me Sam. And she'll just kind of like smile at her, and she will unlock the door and leave.
Okay.
And I'll take out the book, and I have notes on everyone. And I'll go to Anakai's and put a couple notes, and I'll go to Samara's, and I'll pause for a second to look at it, and I'll just scratch out the rest of it and have just Sam under it. Then consider and scratch that out and write again Samara, close the book, and go to sleep.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna make you waste so much paper between you changing my name. Just keep scratching it out, just deciding if you want to just call it Sam.
Samara, Samara,
Sammy?
S.
Sama.
Hakuna Matata.
The snake.
So
Snack.
up on deck after all of the horse type of stuff, because this is all going on more or less simultaneous, and you guys are attempting to make sushi now at this point. Smiling Jonah gets up, still cradling the carrying case for the staff, and wanders on over to make small talk with Captain Andrus for a little bit at least, and anyone that wants to listen in. It's not terribly entertaining. They've just never met, and Smiling Jonah's trying to figure out what the deal is with the beardless dwarf. And, they have exchange pleasantries, and then eventually Jonah departs the deck, heading on downstairs, working his way towards his room.
This?
What was that?
Do I notice this?
Oh, yes, quite easily. He's taking no cares. He's kicking fish off the deck, trying not to step on them, as
That's our sushi.
dodging
Like I
the dodging the
said.
party that are absolutely busy trying to get the druid to bring up some seaweed and whatnot. So yeah, he's just kicking a fish. Ah, that's an absolute
I was
mess up
shooting
here.
a glare, and then turn to look at the shouting, angry Uriel, and pull out my bag and just dump 2.5 pounds of beef jerky in front of him.
I like, he's like, I'm like, do you want this? Or am I allowed to like toss this overboard because I hate beef jerky?
I mean, it was his. Do what you want.
The second he said it was his, like he said his, and I'm like, just like aggressively chuck the beef jerky off.
Couldn't that have been used as bait?
It
I
is
mean, it's
bait,
it's
then-
pemmican's type beef jerky. It's it would take like a Herculean effort to chew through.
Well, it would so attract the smell and
That's
Taste
probably
of it,
true. That's
but-
actually probably true. You know, that teriyaki flavor just washing out into the ocean, attracting all sorts of fish.
nice.
You know,
Wait, did we?
you glance
we-
off the back of the boat and you see a whole bunch of mermaids with like big old beards and packets of skull and stuff. You know, following after you guys. This is some good shit.
A Sasquatch.
Yeah, I should have gone with that since that's the messing with Sasquatch thing. So yes, there's the aquatic Sasquatch. Yeah.
Just want
Mersquatch,
check
there
this
you go.
out. Draws a bow back and just fires into the Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Sasquatch gets angry and throws the bow
Fires it.
out of the water.
Fires it right in the Asquatch.
The Sasquatch rises and it's a blue dragon.
So it's a Mersquatch. That's blue dragon. Yes.
Oh god.
So, Udalotsa, did we convince you to go fetch us seaweed in a fish form?
I mean, I guess I could be persuaded.
I was like, well, see, we're trying to make this new like food thing, but we need seaweed, and I mean, we could like probably catch it, but it'd be a lot easier, I think, if you could turn into an aquatic animal and then come back. I mean, the boat's not going too fast.
Should I go as small fish or big fish? And I point at a fish and a shark.
I'd say the shark probably.
Big fish, sharper
Big-
teeth, you can be it better.
He shape
Seaweed
changes into a horse again.
No, it's not.
It's a
No, I get
seahorse.
it. I
It makes
get
that
it.
goat noise.
Guys, I get it. It's a seahorse.
Exactly.
Oh god.
Oh,
Womp womp.
Yes, come on, guys.
Hubert looks over and is like, hey.
I like
We're
that
like,
we're an
"Nah."
hour in on
I
the
think
stream and
Udalotsa
we
said-
haven't actually advanced anything at this point. It's great.
We are.
We're
We
getting
are-
a lot out of the
No. We're
way.
getting sushi out of the way. This is no.
We are introducing
Um,
sushi to this world.
I feel bad.
What
Uh,
does this do for me?
Do you eat fish? I don't know what. Do you eat fish?
I eat twigs and berries.
I seriously don't know if that's even a joke or not, because he could just be munching down on like birch branches and shit all the time. I have
feel
no
like he
idea.
would be eating branches is like eating your fingers. Like that's right. Like
I mean, SpongeBob was pretty
It
down
was-
for it.
Chickens
was
eat chicken
joke.
all the
I
time.
eat-
I mean, it's
I eat berries and plants.
I mean, seaweeds is plants.
This is
Oh.
part
This is point that I did not think. I will try. And Udalotsa dives headfirst into the water and turns into a shark.
Can you
Seaweeds
turn into something with a swimming speed at third level druid?
I don't have a swimming speed, but I can turn into it.
Is that how that works?
If you turn into a
It
creature,
says
it
that
will gain
you
swimming
can turn into you can turn into a shape of a beast you've seen before, but you just can't swim. So
You can transform into any.
Wait, you
beast
can't
at
swim.
third
Wait,
level.
hold on. Wait, no, that's an important. Wait, you can't swim.
The equivalent
Wait.
of
No,
jumping
no,
off
you
the car
literally- I
going
don't think
too
you can turn
fast,
into it.
and then he can't catch up to the car again. He's like, no, wait.
I'm
Wait,
just
if you-
imagining who gets to be chosen to go running up to Captain Lassim and Captain, we need to stop the boat to pick up a shark. It's right there. It can't
There we
swim.
go. That's the one I meant to send. You
Okay,
can't
so-
transform into it if it has a swimming or flying speed.
And you can't do it until level 4. Okay, so that's out of the question.
No,
Alright, I
that's
guess we're.
not-
All right,
Okay,
sushi's
hold
off
on.
the table. Just
Just
No.
jumps into the water, tries to turn into the fish, can't, just sits in the water.
No, so she's not off the table. We just need a net, or like some, and like just like kind of like. None of this is actually like meaningful. Like I could like if you tell me to stop at any point.
oh no,
like,
no, this is entertaining.
I
I like what players
I only
want to
made
do.
sure
Players do.
because I remembered trying to do that as a druid as well. I feel
Should
that.
I roll a D100 for the chances of
okay, I
picking up
gotcha,
seaweed
yeah,
out, of
yeah,
a,
okay.
out of a fishing net?
Or someone
What's
could
the
spend a
percent?
point of inspiration.
I don't have that right now.
I don't have
know
that.
if anyone has
I've
inspiration right now.
Yeah, we've used all of it,
Burned
and
them all.
we failed. Very well. At least I failed on mine like
One day
several
that
times.
history check will come.
One day.
One day.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd like to chance it.
All right.
What about fashioning a net? Do we have a net? Does anybody have a net?
Probably not.
Road.
I mean, we're on a ship. If we can't ask for a net, maybe a net's already cast.
Oh yeah, this is a. They probably have. They should have nets.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
just
would
gotta
it
pay
be
for it probably.
survival check to cast
An
a net
outrageous amount.
for seaweed?
Sure.
Exactly.
That sounds, it's basically foraging, except for in an entirely different environment. I think that works. Why don't you take disadvantage on that, though? Anyone that wants to do
Oh,
it, because
well.
it's a completely different environment and method of doing it.
Okay, I'll just roll again.
I mean, I'm happy with raw fish. So
Oh, all right. Well, the 14 actually is the best one. Jesus, you guys are just slapping it
23
tonight.
is the best one. That one.
23.
These are all.
Are
these
you guys all
important
fighting
rolls for
over the
later.
net because you all have like really good rolls here?
We,
Whoever is designated sushi seaweed net person does a really
I
good
think-
job of it. And you catch some,
I think it's got to be.
I'm going to
Udalotsa,
guess
right?
you
And then
catch some
that's-
like tuna and some seaweed because I like tuna seaweed or tuna maki rolls and stuff. So yeah, nonetheless,
Ooh, yes.
you guys have successfully invented sushi. Now, to be fair,
All right.
you actually invented like California rolls or something because sushi is, vinegared rice. Nonetheless, maki rolls. How about that?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Overcooked taught me a lot.
Anakai is going to bring up the whole seaweed thing looking disgusting and suggest that one of the people needs to go hang it up to dry, or we get a smoker to smoke it. Then one of us needs to go get a pot of or get some rice from the galley down below. And
I've
can handle
acquired-
the fish.
I've acquired the rice. I already talked to
Yes.
Mechanic.
Excellent. I shall do the assembly then. So we're thinking, Zanakai's just going to be on a table with everything around him. Just like, so you said rice, seaweed, and fish together, right?
Correct.
And
I'm gonna
just
take a
imagining a
big
gigantic,
lump of rice.
yeah, exactly, like a sandwich, just fish, rice on both
Here we go.
sides, wrap it a couple of times with some
Here we
seaweed.
go.
Bam.
It's a handful of rice. I lift it up. I take a sheet of seaweed, slap it together, and then I'm going to put fish, and then I'm going to just like mold it like a snowball and just hold it out like this.
Meh.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna
The
take a
scales
bite
are
of
for
it.
flavor.
I take a bite of it.
Oh no.
All right, you gotta try this.
This is
It's
not
pretty
the
good.
worst thing I've ever had to eat. I'm
This
just,
is this combination shouldn't work, but it does, and it's amazing.
I'm going to start making more quote unquote maki rolls, maki balls. And
I get
I guess pass them out.
yeah. I give one to you. I give one. I just start handing them out. I'm like, this is actually amazing.
I'm gonna take extra time to make a shape out of it, make a triangle out of it, and this one's for Sam.
Okay. Note to self: I know what my character is doing when we land. Everyone, I need all of your gold.
Mhm.
I
Fertilizer
need
likes it.
I need all of your gold, and I promise I will pay you back in dividends.
Well, I am going to say no to that. But I'm going to take the triangle Maki ball for Sam, and I have one for me, and I'm going to be nice enough to make two more, one for the captain, and one for our smiling Jonah.
Mm. The thick plottins.
So first one is first, find the captain on the ship. Be
Okay.
like, here. Thank you for going to go get the shipwrecked. crew."
Captain Lassim is very thankful, considering that you did not make her stop the ship to pick up a shark. We skipped over that entire thing. So she takes a bite and quite obviously does not swallow it, just pushing it into her cheek. Thank you. This is a delicacy of your people, is it?
No, we literally, those guys just said, let's throw this stuff together. And it came out okay. I preferred just the fish.
I would too. Cooked without bones.
I thought Anakai said he. I thought you said.
Oh no, I would have easily prepped the fish. I would have just sliced off the legs and got rid of the bones.
Oh, okay. I thought you
Yeah.
just crammed the whole fish in there, scales and all, you know?
No.
Just wrapped it in seaweed. Just
Exactly. Okay. Then it's acceptable. It is perfectly acceptable. All right. She thanks you for it and does take another nibble.
Thank you for charting us home. I appreciate it.
All right.
You just hear from the back. It's an acquired taste. It's like coffee.
What's coffee?
Coffee
Here's another
exists.
voice
Coffee exists. That's
for
fine.
like rich imports and
Yeah,
nobles.
really rich people.
and in tropical environments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're heading towards tropics.
Oh, that's true. That is true.
All right, and you said you made another one for Smiling Jonah?
Yep.
Okay.
And, so I'm gonna go knock on this door and kind of wrap it up in another like seaweed wrap, just kind of as like a little like parchment paper for it to sit on, and just like here, this is from the group.
He opens the door, and you notice that for the first time since you've been on the ship and traded everything, he is not clutching the carrying case. And he looks at you. Oh, hey, something you need? Kind of busy here.
We had a gift for you.
Gift. Oh,
Here.
yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. And you just slap it into his hand.
Oh yeah, I offer it out to him.
Okay. He looks at it, and that is what?
Food.
No, food is beef jerky. Or that venison stuff wasn't half bad.
I'm like
This is-
stomping. I'm like stomping on the top. They're like, "Dude, just enjoy my food."
All
This
right.
is
Well.
like venison.
Oh, is it? Well, I can't remember the venison being quite so white, but thank you. I appreciate. Did that one man make it? Because I don't want to
No, I
hurt it.
made it.
Oh, hey, excellent. Wow, wow. Very much appreciated. You and me, two peas in a cube, you know? We understand the dungeon delving, the treasure hunting, the seeking, the finding, the purloining, the other adjectives that I'm running out of. So, from one treasure hunter to another, thank you for this. I will put it with the rest of my food and eat it sometime when it is necessary. Thank you.
Okay, just make sure to eat it soon before it goes bad.
I'm sorry, what goes bad?
I mean, if you let it sit out, it might turn foul. Better to eat fresh.
Not following, but all right. I will eat it in the next couple of days. Thank you.
Actually, this works. Okay.
And when he's
Yes.
doubled over, crapping himself from the upper rigging, then you will liberate the staff. The plan has
Easy.
gone perfectly.
See, and y'all said this had no plot. This had no point. This
Uh-huh.
is the plan all along.
Sabotage! Saboteur!
He takes his handful of foodibles and closes the door. And you hear him just kind of, food. Huh. And then footsteps. And then,
And-
where the hell is my beef jerky?
I'm gonna find Sam and give her a very poorly. I'm gonna give her actually the probably best looking one of the bunch. It's in a nice little triangle shape, kind of like an onigiri, and it's still just like it's just a clump of rice still with like seaweed bits sticking out everywhere, and then like you still see like parts of the fish fillets that I sliced off just kind of poking out.
Would Sam be done talking to Sophia at this point?
Yeah.
Okay. Sam's just would probably be coming out from the room at that point just to do kind of a final sweep of where everyone is before retiring herself.
Okay. Bam. Sushi.
Wait, did I find her coming out of Sophia's room?
No, more so coming out of the
Okay.
wherever all the rooms are.
Okay, so if I did see you specifically come into Sophia's room, then I would have probably felt bad and left the one that I made for myself with Sophia.
Nah, probably not. She probably would have
Okay,
just been
Dope.
coming out of
It's
the.
mine then.
Yeah.
Screw Sophia.
Well,
She's a mean
you
lady.
know, that's the goal.
What a shock! What a shock!
You know how this is going to play out
That's
when
cool.
tomorrow morning everyone's like, wow, man, you guys love those maki rolls that Anakai made for all of us? And
Yeah,
Sophia's
right.
like, I'm going to fucking murder all of Whoop. You got the DM.
It's like what the teachers first middle school, and
Yeah,
everyone like,
teacher curses.
And all the
I
kids are like,
think
"Ooh."
I think that was worth the point of inspiration. I got
Damn.
jokes aside.
Hoisted by my
Damn,
own
dude.
petard. All right. Nonetheless, is there anything else anyone would like to do before evening?
me and Iolus are in the back, like writing all this stuff down. We're writing the process. We're like, write that down. We gotta. This is gonna be. We're Mortanis. I am dead serious with you. We're gonna ask you off stream. We're gonna make a business front. This is our new side quest.
You know, I was actually going to say that's not surprising because in every campaign, at least one character winds up enterprising. And then I remembered exactly what happened in the Hobo Slayer Sunday night campaign. And we got to calculate up some 2% royalties on that at some time in the near future. And there is a distributed banking system. So, you know, yes.
So actually, before everyone goes to bed, after like Sam would probably take a bite or two out of whatever Anakai gave her, and then assuming he like left to go do his own thing or whatever, Sam's gonna go back down to Sophia's room.
Oh,
And she's going to very lightly knock on the door and just kind of keep her voice low. Just, I don't suppose you're already asleep, are you?
Oh no, I'm awake. I'm just not saying anything at all. I'm not stirring. I'm not moving. I'm staying completely quiet.
Mm. Timmy's just gonna kind of silent, and just. You're either a very fast sleeper or I'm just annoying you. But either way, regardless of if you want it or not, and she's going to kind of try and find just like a little piece of scrap paper or something so it's not just on the floor. And she's going to leave the at least half of it on. I'll just say she got something out of her pouch or something, like a little stray piece of cloth or something, so it's literally not just on the hardwood floor. And she's going to leave it by the door and just, well, if you get hungry in the middle of the night, seems Anakai made something, and personally, I'm still pretty full, so I went ahead and had some, but I figured you might want something too, just in case.
How dare
And
you.
she'll leave.
I wait about 5 minutes after I hear her leave, and I'll look over and I'll see whatever strange, gross thing is on the ground. And no, I don't touch it at all. That's disgusting. I'm just gonna go back to sleep. Hopefully, it doesn't smell in the morning. I don't even know what it is.
It will.
Great.
It's raw,
Yes.
It's raw fish.
Yeah. Yes. I'm just gonna go back to sleep. It's a thought that matters, but that's okay. Yes, I just go back to sleep.
Okay. I think we finally made it to evening of the first day on the ship. Cat.
Cat.
Total eclipse with a cat, no less.
Oh.
All right. Anakai, are you going to enact a plan this evening? It's about a 3-day trip to Ansia.
Oh no, I would do this on the last day.
Okay. Are we doing anything on day 2, or shall we fast forward to day 3, nearing port? I leave it up to you.
All I am doing is mastering the art of sushi.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
And all I'm doing is I'm getting all the information of all the people on board. And I'll take all the time you'd like. I just love to know what the quartermaster's name is for the ship that we're on right now.
It's a good question. Did I write it
once again,
down? Yes,
I'm sorry.
Ulthar.
Was it? It was Ulthar. I apologize. I wrote it down as well. I just didn't put a thing on it. ULTHAR. Thank you so much. That's all I wanted to know.
I would try not to get
Skip
involved
the
in
day
their
two.
sushi shenanigans.
It's not
So I'm-
shenanigans. It's a livelihood now.
Shenanigans.
We'll see. Once you guys have that, I'm not going to participate or finally learn the craft of slicing fish into proper measurements and treating it properly. I'm just going to be taking my time either just kind of walking around or keeping an eye on Jonah.
Is Sophia being obvious that she's just kind of getting information from people?
Well, sort of. She's quite. It's the same process. Who are you? What do you do here? Do it better. And then she walks away. And it's pretty much that exact thing across the board for everyone. But
So
I
yes.
never do the same person twice.
For every person that she's leaving in her wake, Sam actually tries to strike up a casual conversation and tries to get any more information on them to tell Sophia later. Just trying to pick up mannerisms, how quickly they can get aggressive or offended or anything like that. And just kind of more minor either personality things or just in general their kind of stance, the way they talk, stuff like that. Any other little bits of information that Sophia couldn't get.
Trying to figure out how quickly they antagonize and get annoyed. I just imagine going up to person.
It's
Hey,
fine. I'm not asking
last
for
night
specifics, I'm just
mother. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how angry does that make you?
no, just kind of casual conversation, just talking about different things and seeing how annoyed they get with her, how
Okay.
open they are to conversation, stuff like that.
Okay, makes sense to me. Anything anyone else wants to do besides make sushi, get information, and keep eyes on people?
Apparently, they rolled investigation to study what makes actual good sushi roll.
Oh, Jesus.
Did I stutter?
Didn't say anything at all. You typed it.
I'm
No,
not
I meant-
finding
No,
none
no,
of you.
no. I rolled an investigation on studying what makes. At this point, what there's going to be a dungeon, an ancient dungeon with the perfect sushi recipe as the final thing at the bottom of it. After defeating a Draco Lich and 3 beholders, it's this is what we came all this way for. It's just a recipe, perfect sushi. We are victorious, people.
Me and Iola's have like beards down to our feet. We're like, we've done it.
All right.
I swear I'll burn it, but whatever.
The second day passes uneventfully as well.
You can't burn what's already raw.
The dawn of the third day sees Ravala creeping up on the distant horizon. You will be there by slightly after noon. So today would be a good time to enact a plan. That gives you about 6 hours to do so.
Has Jonah been looking ill?
Nah, not particularly.
Udalotsa will go visit him in his quarters in the
Okay.
morning.
The morning of the third day, you knock on the door, and after a couple of minutes of muttering, the door opens, and you see Jonah there, and he's looking as impeccable as ever. He's got his vest, he's got his hat, he's got his very, very suave type of look with that book hanging off of one hip, and he looks at you. Ah, Tree, yes, excellent. I was looking forward to talking to all of you folk before we dock and answer. I just can't express my gratitude enough for how you went and did my job for me. It just makes things so much easier. What can I do for you this morning?
Hello, friend. I would like to speak with staff again.
Oh, yeah. Hey, the staff. Right. Okay. Come on in. Close the door behind you.
I do.
Okay. He wanders on over to
And
the
I,
wardrobe.
Look around to see if I see or I want to look, not investigate, but see if I see the sushi roll in his room anywhere.
Yes, it is still sitting on top of a little end table that's bolted down next to the cot. It's just sitting in the dead center of it, untouched, except for what Sam presumably chewed off. No, you gave the chewed one to Sophia.
Sophia.
Excuse me. So,
Which after on the second day, if she noticed it was still by the door, she would have thrown it away.
Oh no! When I woke up, I just burned it. It's
Okay, that's
disgusting. Yes, that's fine.
Udalota says, I see you also have fish friend food. It is very tasty. You should try it.
he turns and looks at that. You're seriously telling me that's food? I've just never understood what that was about.
It is quite good.
All right. Well, tell you what. I'll give this a try if it'll make your friends happy. I do owe you a great debt. The least I could do is... Oh, wow. This smells so bad. I mean, wonderful. As he picks it on up and leans on in, starts to try to take a nibble. Tongue touches the rice, just kind of curls away. Oh, wow. What is that flavor? Is that no, that's not dead flesh. I know what that tastes like. This is something.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a second. Wait a minute. What?
Let the DM rant. Calm down. It's just dead flesh.
And he takes a slow bite. I mean, very, very slow. Teeth cutting through just one tiny end. Nibble of rice. And he sits there with it on his tongue, mouth open, and then swallow it. Right?
Yes.
Oh.
And while you are eating, would you show me where you are keeping the staff?
He waves a hand at the wardrobe on the wall there. Yeah. It's in there. So this is
Thank you, friend.
the food of your people, huh? This is so weird. How do everybody get so big and... Oh, wow. And let's make a con check here.
Please fail. Please fail.
Because I know Anakai is like, all right.
Now,
Yes,
you don't know what his bonus is, but I guarantee you it's not enough to turn a 4 into a success. He
So-
slowly starts chewing and continues chewing and chewing like he can't get it to a consistency where he feels safe swallowing it. He's just masticating it like cud over and wow, this is exquisite would be the and it makes the eyes water. This is so different to food I'm used to. Hey friend, do you think you could get me some water or napalm or something? A little
Give him
a little dry.
will do so. I will speak with staff while I fetch you.
Oh, no.
water.
Go
I
ahead and
will
leave that here. It's okay.
return
Just
shortly.
go ahead and leave that here. It's safer in the room. Staff prefers to speak in the closet. Wow, is it hot in here all of us? I just feel like
must
there's
touch
burning
the staff
behind my
to speak
eyes.
with it.
Yep. Some
I
water
will
first,
be
talk
back
later.
I will be back with the water shortly, and I go grab the staff and leave with it.
Okay, I'm making a perception. I'm gonna do with disadvantage here because he is complete. Wow, there's the 20. That's great. This is with disadvantage, so this. Whoa! One in 400.
Whoa.
1 in 400. He immediately notices you taking the staff, reaching for it, and working your way towards the door, and he holds up a hand. What did this? No. Staff stays, friend. I'm sorry, I can't let that leave the room. And he'll work it and swallow, and you can hear it scraping down his throat from across the room. Oh, there we go. That is heavy in the stomach. And he puts it on the table.
If only, Alan. If only.
Yeah. He puts it on the table and heartily pounds his chest. Thunk, thunk. Oh, yeah. That'll put hair on everything. Anyway, would you like to have a seat here and talk with the staff? I'm truly feeling better now.
I will sit and speak with staff. And I just sit down and open the top and pull the staff out.
Okay, and now we are doing a check that you guys have no idea what this is for. Okay. The staff slides into your hand, and once again, it is an elegant length of about 6 feet or so with a not quite a trident tip. Each of the tines on the end of it are of a different length and going at a slightly different angle. So the center one is straight up. The left one kind of hooks out and up in what you would assume for a trident type of a thing. And the right one is more at a 45-degree angle and straight. And each of them ends in a circle with a crystal in the center of it. And there is writing on one side of it, as noted, in a strange script that had been more or less deciphered. As I recall, someone had pawed on over that. Given that you guys did figure out that it basically says that it is the staff of Hamatorep. And he smiles, still wiping his eyes furiously with one hand and then the other so that he always keeps his one eye open on you. So what do you think?
I need a moment of quiet, please. You may rest, friend. I will stay right here.
He immediately drops onto the cot and plants his head in the palm of his hands, and you can see he's sweating at this point from that 4 con check and trembling ever so slightly, and you can hear across the room, gurgle, gurgle, gurgle.
I take careful note of all of the, like, looking over the staff to make sure I can attempt to replicate it.
Okay, go ahead and give me an intelligence check to try to commit that to memory.
Oh, no.
I believe in this one.
Nope.
That did not go according to plan, now did it? Sorry about the clanging. Yeah. All right, you think you've got it fairly well committed to memory anyway.
I stay a bit longer and actually, like, speak at it in Druidic, making him think that I'm actually talking to the staff.
Okay. All right. This is the critical moment. After 3 rounds, he immediately jumps straight on up, and his eyes are bleary. His stomach, you can hear, is not going to keep its contents where they are for any longer. And he makes a move. Okay, I'm going to need you to put that back real quick. I'll be back in just a couple minutes. Please head on out.
I will.
And he will
put it
actually
away.
dance from foot to foot, foot to foot.
I slide it back in and go back over towards the wardrobe.
Okay. And he continues. A little faster, please.
Excellent.
Walk slower. Walk as like
You
walk
may
like
leave whenever. I will close the door behind me.
He
friend."
stares at you for a long second as if considering whether or not you would be safe to leave with the thing he's been searching for a very, very long time. And then he will make a random check to decide. Low for player benefit. Here we go. Percentile dice tell me. Oh, are you kidding me?
What?
That's impressive. So as far as things go, 1 to
He's a
50
wizard.
is the lower half, 51 to 100 is upper half. So that does, I rolled 2 20s in a row and then slapped it dead center with that.
Go to I
Well,
need you to
you
go to a
slapped it.
casino.
You slapped it half for everything because you also rolled a 3
Yeah.
and now you roll a 50.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm just like, oh my God. So it was going to be a choice on whether he'd, just press ham to the window and just fire it on out there or leave. And he stares at you for a second and, all right, just put it back. I'll be back in 30 seconds. And he hustles on out of the room and you hear footsteps, stop, running on.
As soon as
up.
that door
Make
pops
way!
open,
Make way!
Anakai is very much nearby the room. He's been waiting to see a moment since he saw Udalotsa go in.
Okay.
And just seeing him burst out and running for it, like, well, that's easy enough.
All
And I'm gonna
according
waltz into his
to
room.
plan.
All right. And I'm going to walk in and see Udalotsa, I guess, putting away the staff.
At least holding it still, yeah.
Yeah, just holding it still. I was making my way to the wardrobe, but hadn't actually put it in.
Excellent. Udalotsa, we're going to need that staff.
Hello, cat friend. And Udalotsa turns around and says, "Here, you may see it," and pops it open and
Oh,
like
okay.
rolls the staff out to him.
I'll take the staff, look it over, appreciate the craftsmanship. It really is kind of a special item here.
How do we make a copy of this, cat friend?
Well, I don't suppose you can just do your thing where you make flowers and branches and make one close to the size, can you?
I do not know that is possible.
Could you make a 6-foot stick?
I can make a leaf. I can make a seed pod open, a leaf blossom, a leaf bud bloom, or a flower blossom.
All right, this is going to be Operation Find a Mop and stuff it in there, I guess, huh? Just hope that he doesn't open it.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, it doesn't take you very long in order to search the floor and find. I mean, there's brooms and mops and stuff, various places. So
Yeah.
there's
If I
no
needed
check
to, I would've
necessary
gone
for
with
that.
What say about it?
If I needed to, I would have gone to a deckhand and be like, "Ooh, he had a little accident, and I could use a mop to clean that up."
Yeah, this isn't a situation where pass fail needs to be a thing because it's going to all rest on whether or not he checks into it rather than whether or not he's convinced by it. So, yep, you find a mop, you slide it on in there, and where are you going to hide the authentic one for the time being?
Oh, I'm just going to take this with me, and I'm going to go take my shielded lantern of dimmer,
Mhm.
and I'm going to just go ahead below decks.
Okay.
I will find the nearest box or barrel that the staff can fit in.
Okay, it's 6 foot. There's not a barrel that'll fit it, but there are crates.
Yeah. Yep. I'm going to stash away in a crate, and with my dagger, I'm going to carve a symbol, a thieves' cant symbol, into the side of it. And so I can mark it for there, and I'm going to bolt it shut.
Okay. All right. It's not maybe a minute, 2 minutes maximum before you hear haggard, wary footsteps slapping down the stairs as if he has no energy to hold himself back together. Just thunk. Wheezing,
I would
wheezing.
have put the container back in the wardrobe and then gone and actually got him some water as well.
Okay. So by the time he slumps into the room and sags onto the cot, you're there holding out a little, mug of water, which he graciously takes and looks at it for a second. I'm not sure if I could keep this down if it goes in. What exactly is this thing? And he pokes at the rice all. I've never experienced something like this. I am fairly certain that I will never eat again.
They called it beef jerky.
Oh God.
You were laughing. I want you to know you were laughing as you were saying beef jerky. Like it wasn't even. You couldn't even keep your. You were just like beef jerky.
He hammers the water in a single go, draining the entire mug, sloshing it around, wanders on over to the porthole, slides the shutter out of the way, and then spits it back on out. And I got most of the taste. Honestly, the vomit is better than the fishiness at the back of the throat. I might just want to vomit again to get the rest of that flavor out. And he, without making it obvious, but it's pretty obvious, he glances at you, wanders on over to the wardrobe, pops it open, confirms the presence of the container, and closes the wardrobe. Well, if there's anything that I can do in order to thank you and your compadres once again, just let me know. It sounds like we'll be pulling on into Ansia here fairly soon, and we'll be going our separate ways, but I do appreciate everything that you all have done, making my
Rest,
life easier.
Even
Rest
food
now.
poisoning.
We will find you tomorrow.
Now, Mortanis,
Hmm.
is there a ship doctor aboard? Like a designated doctor or medic?
Yes, actually, in general, the doctor is almost the second most important person on the ship. So,
Exactly. I would go to them and I would say, it appears Smiling Jonah seems to have caught some sort of illness. You may need to sit with him and do an investigation. He just ran up to the top decks and looked like he was terribly ill.
Voice. You went from like Cathra level bard boisterous to slowly realizing, wait, Anakai isn't like that.
He's like
Slowly
that,
back
yeah.
to meek.
Back to meek.
Great.
Listen, I got a lot of voices to go through. Stop it.
I know, buddy, it's great. I love it.
all right,
But
ship,
yeah, I would definitely go to the doctor and tell that.
ship surgeon and doctor pulls her bag of various goodies and with a nod of solidarity, I'll take care of it, and wanders on over to his thing. And just before the door completely closes, you can hear Smiling Jonah with the hoarseness in his voice from both it going down and then coming back on up. Oh, I don't think I've got the strength for this today. I just don't think, well, who am I to turn a beautiful woman away from my bed? Close the door.
As long as someone's with him, he's not going to mess with the staff. So
Fair enough.
that'll buy us some time.
At this
All
point,
right,
this is
cool.
about 2 hours to docking. Anything anyone wants to do in the interim?
No, actually, I think I'm fine.
Okay. 2 hours pass, and the continent of Ravala and certainly the city itself begins to loom closer and closer.
Now, Udalotsa would go up to the top deck and find either Luril or Aeolus and tell them, it seems that your food has made strange friend, smiling friend, very strange friend sick after consuming it today.
Well, yeah, he waited. That's raw. He ate raw fish 3 days later. I would
This is
assume
not good for you.
no, because it probably went bad and got moldy.
Oh, I have made strange friend, very sick, it seems.
But did you get the staff?
The
Then there was-
staff is in his wardrobe. Yes, I have seen the staff.
Then
A man.
then that's all that matters. And quite frankly, I would consider this even, and that's totally fine. I'll just smile at him. But yes, for future reference, 3-day-old fish is generally not good to eat.
This one takes note of that.
That's good.
Thank you, friend.
Of course.
So as you guys are working your way on into port, the captain begins giving orders to bring the sails in a little bit and prepping for things. Andrus is on deck, and you can tell he's definitely sobered up. In fact, he doesn't appear to have any ill effects from his night of rampant drinking. But you could tell by the way that his muscles twitch at every single order given that it's so ingrained in him he wishes to be doing exactly that. And the fact that he no longer has a ship is just weighing heavily on him. And, he just stares as the port comes into view. Obviously morose, but obviously happy to be alive.
So it's at this point where we're pulling in, I would remove the staff, find the nearest largest blanket or cloth, and I would carefully wrap the staff in it so it's completely covered, and then use my rope to tie it securely, and then fasten it around over my shoulder.
Okay. So the ship begins to pull on into port. Now, let me bring up the doohickey. Where is the doohickey?
Ooh, a doohickey.
Let's see if this works. That is the wrong one.
Wrong doohickey.
Okay, that's
that was the-
us. There we go.
That
That is us.
The city of
Yeah.
Ansia. So you guys are coming on in from the, you can see my mouse, hopefully. It's simultaneously poking Sophia in the nose as well as over here. But you guys are coming in from the northeast there because as we actually look at the world map, that is not the world map. Oh, I should probably click on that. You guys were right here and you've sailed on up and come in around at this point here. So the city of Ansia, oh, that's the wrong button. I want the map, is a relatively moderate-sized city. It is not the greatest city. It is not a small one. Most of its claim to fame just exists by virtue of this is where people wind up docking because as we look at the map here, while Stormhaven is the obvious capital, it is just a pain in the ass to sail all the way around. So people generally will dock at Ansia and then go through Silvercourt and on their way to Stormhaven because it is still cheaper to go overland than to sail the entire distance of things. So Ansia is mostly known as a port town. It is not overwhelming in size, but it is not also tiny as far as things go. So there is a significant amount of dock area jutting out into the water with all manner of ships that are both local traders that sail up and down the entire coast of Rovala, as well as deep sea ones like the ill-fated ship that you guys sailed in on that had been destroyed by a dragon, made for sailing on to the other continents and the like. Even from this distance, you can see in the center of town, and unfortunately there's not a ping here, but this circle thing jutting up about 100 feet into the air or so, towering over most buildings that are only 3 to maybe 4 stories tall, is the crystal that protects this particular area. It is green and it kind of pulses with not quite a heartbeat lub-dub type of a thing, but something so similar that it's creepy. It does seem to be a heartbeat, but either too fast or too slow, depending on how long you watch it for. It seems to change the longer you stare at it, sometimes lulling you that it's rapid, sometimes just feeling like it never pulses. Interestingly, seabirds wheel through the air, but none of them come anywhere close to the crystal, keeping maybe 100-yard distance, so that as you stare, there's just a column free of birds rising on up towards the clouds. It is a little disconcerting, but hey, it keeps the undead away, or so they say, as far as things go. So for those of you that have been to Rovala, and Ansia in particular, and I will leave it up to you and your characters on whether or not you've been here before, the city is a walled type of thing with a decent amount of farmland, because as noted previously, a very significant amount of Rovala is growing food that's being used for the northern areas, given that they got stumped by a bunch of undead. And this is much more prime growing seasons, as well as by virtue of having less undead because it's more recent and the like. So the city is not new, but it's definitely not ancient. And there are a handful of decent inns that you guys can take a gander at. We will get to that as soon as we dock. But overall, for those of you that have been here before, it's comforting to return back to such a bustling seaport in the southern area. The air is thick, heavy, very warm to the point of almost being uncomfortable, but not so humid as to be awful at this point. Other ships are coming on in, lining up and working their way on in. And both the captain of the ship and Captain Chainbreaker himself, both kind of standing side by side at the wheelhouse, staring on out with a feeling of, all right, we actually made it. Andrus will turn to anybody that's up on deck. I don't know who that would be at this point.
I would be up on deck.
Sam,
Yeah.
I would too.
on deck.
And
I
he'll-
would too, but I'm cloaked head to toe.
okay.
And your new cloak?
I think we all would be.
Oop. I forgot because it kicks on over. You guys don't want to read my notes because it just keys off of this browser. I can't change while I've got this up. Good to know. I'm still learning all of this. Captain Lasim stares on out, and Captain Andrews steps on down from the raised up area where the wheelhouse actually is, and looks at each of you that are on up there. Well, I've taken care of our fare as far as things go. She's not doing this out of the goodness of her heart, despite the fact that the strange one down below, who I have been hearing for the last couple of hours, apparently had paid her previous. That did not completely cover us. I've negotiated a portion of the insurance that I will get from my ship, and hope to be back on the seas at least sometime in the next 5 years. It will take a little bit of bureaucracy, red tape to get through, but eventually I will be back out there. I wish that circumstances had been different, but I'm glad that at least we survived, and I do have you to thank for finding us away off of an island. I figured we would be there for months, if not longer, so the gods truly have blessed this encounter, so I offer you my hearty thanks. If you ever find yourself in need of a ship, and I've got one again, you have free passage for the remainder of my days. And he offers out a big old gnarled hand.
I shake it. Like, thank you, friend.
Gerald Five Fingers is standing nearby. Bring it in for a hug, everybody. We lived. Holds out
I
his
take
arms.
2 steps back.
Sam is also going to take 2 steps back.
I'm just gonna walk up to Captain, or used to be Captain Chainbreaker, and say, thank you for your passage here, and you're right, the gods do hold favor, and they do exist. And if you feel that you're lost, I have something that you might find comfort in. And
Here's why you're weak.
I take out one of my pamphlets, and I hand it to him, and I say, and if you have any questions, feel free to seek me out, or one of the others who follow Hazatl, and we shall guide you towards your correct path. And the pamphlet is actually, so you were strong, but now you're weak. What do you do now? And it is passages of coming to terms with your new shift of position within the world, and how exactly you should view this as an opportunity to, instead of just wallowing in your self-pity of how weak and miserable you are, to rise up again, or to embrace your new role as someone to simply be tread upon by someone much stronger and better than yourself. In less words and a little bit more flowery, but you get the gist. Yes.
He actually gives an enthusiastic laugh. Well, I have to say that my views on a lot of things have changed in the last week and a half or so. As far as things go, I will be spending at least some significant amount of time at the Church of Hazatl here in town before figuring out where I go from here. And in fact, if I go back to my browser, there's the Temple of Hazatl right there. Look, it's got its own pin and everything. Thank you, friend.
I'm so excited.
Is there a temple to Voxna?
There is. It just doesn't get its own pin yet.
Oh,
It doesn't,
well.
because it's weak and pathetic.
So as the ship finally pulls in, A, Smiling Jonah is nowhere to be seen up on deck. And B, Captain Lasim, gives at least each of you a cursory, I'm glad at least we could come to an accommodation, also enriching my pocket type of a thing. And so eventually, as you are brought on in, the ship docks, ropes are thrown, moorings are tied, the gangplank extends, and Lasim steps off first, as is tradition. Once she's on the thing and signs over some quick paperwork on over to the dockmaster, she turns and gives a relatively decent flourish of a bow. And, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Rovala. You have arrived safe.
We're back home. Well, sort of. Home country, not home city yet. Sam, I'm gonna go ahead and head back to the church temple that's located here.
And also, do not forget, for any of those that were interested, especially, I believe, Orville, who is currently not here, so never mind. I was going to say there is the Glass and Brass Hall here, which is kind of an adventurer's guild. All right, so the boat is docked. Everybody is finally on dry land again, or at least the better dry land, the dry land you actually wanted to be on, as opposed to the other one that was sucky and full of, mostly dead mercenaries. So, yeah, let's see something here. If I can get this to work. No, I cannot, because apparently it's focused on the individual app. Yep, that makes sense. I was trying to move the tab to a different window, and it did not work. So we'll just deal with that for now. So there are a couple of, I know some people are going to their various churches, but there are a couple of inns that one could rest their weary head at. We have the Saucy Rattler, which is dockside, so it is a slum among slums. You know, a dive bar plus a hotel that's probably 50% cockroach by volume. Then there is the Stone Gnome, which is more in the downtown district. It is definitely a more upscale type of thing because it caters towards the center area here where a lot of commerce winds up happening. So it's the hoity-toity rich folk type of place. Very good food, alcohol, amenities. And then over here near this area is more like, I don't want to say Science Row, but more of your scholarly type of area. Right next door, nearish to the, indeed it is next door, is just a place called The Cartographer, which generally just caters towards, the treasure hunting folk. And then here's the Temple of Azadal. We'll say that the other temples are in this district here next to the Citadel, which is not a castle so much as just kind of the seat of commerce and government here. So it is a fortified structure, but not in the sense of, government management and the like. And then we will switch this back like that. So where would everybody like to go first off? So we'll start with, well, I guess everybody can just yell it out. Where would you like to go, people?
Brass and glass.
Okay.
And I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I just want to make sure that Hubert is along with me.
Yes, he is your horse, effectively.
Wonderful. I will take Hubert to. Well, before we do anything, I guess we're all on dry land. Are we all together? I'm assuming everyone.
Everyone was up on deck at the moment of disembarkation, though you might not have been able to have recognized everybody that was swaddled up in all sorts of strange clothes and hiding.
Ah, yes, Anakai. So if I see the majority of the group there, I'll turn to them and say, we've arrived, and last we spoke, we left things a bit in the air. I see that we don't have everyone here, and I have some business to attend to with the local church of Azatl. As it stands, I assume that we are all together in this, though the method in which we chose is still up for debate. Are we separating here, or are we going to find a place to have this discussion later on?
I feel like we're not separating, but we should separate in the sense of just do whatever we want to do.
Ross and Rachel, they were on a break.
I say let's pick an inn. We all meet there.
I feel
And,
like we
go
should
do
be
our
able to see
various
other
things.
adventuring companies. All right, so that sounds like a reasonable plan to me.
In that case, then I will meet you. What did they say? Unless anybody has any other misgivings, I believe the Saucy Rattler would be perfectly fine. And
It
now,
is
if you'll
close.
excuse me, and I will see you there later. And with that, I just take Hubert, and we will go towards the Church of Azatl.
Okay.
Cool. I'm gonna look at anyone and I'm like, I am going to the Brass and Glass if anyone wants to come with me. Otherwise, if you have other various things, then that's totally fine. But I'm heading that way. I don't know what that way is, but I'm going.
It's easy to get any sort of directions by just asking anyone.
Okay. Is there a? I know the Outcast is mostly in Geisha, but is there like an outpost here or anything like that?
Not in this city particularly, no. They don't really operate much in Rovala, so the only place that you're going to find any sort of a chapter house would be Stormhaven itself.
Cool. Then I'll follow Oral.
Okay.
Sweet.
I think Udalotsa is going to, as Sophia walks off, Udalotsa is going to say, "Loud friend, I would like to speak with you," and start walking after Sophia.
Yeah, Sophia will turn her head. Yes, Udalotsa, what is it?
Do you actually speak to your god?
Yes, I do. Though maybe not in a manner that you would understand, but I do speak to him, and on occasion he does respond.
Tell me of this. I will walk with you. And he just walks along, and I presume they have conversation about it that we don't have to have in frame.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And I'll educate him on the finer things in life.
And Anakai.
Oh, before she even pulled anyone aside, I was already off that boat and on the way to the Church of Voxna.
Okay.
So going.
All right. So let's see. Let's go and start things off here. Uril. So the Brass and Glass Hall, when you actually arrive there, working your way through the bustling city, finds itself, despite its proximity to the Citadel and more of a scholarly corner of the city, the streets are mostly empty on over here. They're not fully paved. It's mostly dirt with some gravel crunched on in. The buildings are in a great state of repair, but not looking like anything that gets visited regularly. The businesses here in this corner are more esoteric stuff. It's not exactly your main fare. The sort of places that cater to odds and ends and various specific niche type of markets rather than generalized type of stuff. So, there is a cartographer's shop there, but absolutely nobody waiting in line or shopping around in there. But the Brass and Glass Hall is a relatively unassuming building amidst all the other ones, single story only, while others nearby are 2, maybe even 3. And it has a look of being older than the rest of these, as if it's pushed back against gentrification or the general upraising of the quality in this area. In fact, it's probably as old as the Citadel itself, which is one of the earliest established buildings in the continent, since Rovala was more or less colonized, quote unquote, relatively recent, though the Wood Elves have been here significantly longer. They don't actually have society. Nonetheless, as you push on open the door to the Brass and Glass, it strikes you as mostly a museum type of thing. The walls are covered in paintings and various parchments that are curling on the end, tacked up on the wall. There's tables in the center that have all sorts of assortments of various adventuring type of gear, as well as accounts, personal diaries that have been transcribed of various adventurers over the last couple of hundred years and all their type of things. It's very much sort of a nostalgia type of adventuring hall where old people can sit around and reminisce about the good old days, which are currently not now, because now is never the good old days type of a thing. And as you push on in, the air is musty. It's not dank, but it definitely smells like dust. Not that type of dank. It smells like dust and age and oiled leather. And as you walk on in, there is a gnome who is sitting there working his way around one of these center tables that is just covered with little plaques that describe all sorts of, this belonged to, such and such adventurer who first discovered, fire, stuff like that. And the gnome seems to be a little bit on the older side as far as gnomes go. Wiry hair, wire rim glasses, very nice spectacles, not the sort of thing you see all the time. Coveralls and a very nice, elegant pressed shirt, all that makes him look like a museum caretaker with like a tweed jacket type of a thing. Looks very much like a shrunken down version of Marcus Brody from Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark type of a thing. And he gives an absolutely overwhelming smile as you walk on in, because presumably, aside from old timers that sit here, drink tea, and talk about the good old days, not a lot happens. And so he wanders on over and gives a respectful bow. Good afternoon. I guess it's about noon. So good afternoon, sir.
Hello, good afternoon. I have been told by various sources that this is an excellent place to come and get something decoded. And I was hoping you could help me out in that sense.
His grin becomes an actual, like, flowered smile. Well, I dare say that we are some of the best in such things. Tell me, is it a cipher of sorts, perhaps an adventuring party, or more of your general code that needs to be broken? And he kind of shifts his glasses, do specialize in both, you understand. It's something of a bit of a hobby of mine.
I pull out my dad's journal and just kind of show him, this is my dad's journal. He was murdered for this journal, you see, and I want to know why what's coded, what's in here, and who could possibly want to end his life for this.
He frowns. Oh dear, oh my. That is a sad tale indeed. He offers out a very small hand. My name is Denjeric. I am proprietor of this establishment and have been for some 50 years.
I sit, Ulro, and shake his hand. Very pleasure to meet you.
Pleased to make your acquaintance. Please, come, sit. And he gestures over at a little series of chairs next to a table that's got, like, literature on, so you want to be an adventurer type of a thing. And he'll slide some of them out of the way and take the journal and put it down on the table with reverence and care and begin flipping on through it until he gets to the point with, the recognizable symbol and all of the cipher type of stuff. And he starts clicking his tongue, just, I see. Interesting, very interesting. So, tell me, you say that your father was murdered over this, yes?
Yes, and I'll show him like the cloth that had the sigil, and I was like, "This is off one of the murderers," and I show him that sigil, and I'm like, "This group of people wanted him dead, and they were looking for this."
Oh my, yes, okay, that is quite troubling, and at the same time, an interesting puzzle, one that I have not seen in quite a while. In fact, it tickles memory, a very, very ancient one. Let me organize my thoughts. And he kind of sits there and pulls up his glasses, pinches the nose of his bridge, and then eventually slaps the glasses back down and stares at you with piercing green emerald type of eyes. You see, this is an interesting puzzle you've got here. These type of ciphers, while I am not familiar with this exact one, is... yes. Many adventuring companies have large amounts of members that travel the globe searching for ancient artifacts, buried treasure, pirate loot, and the like, you understand. Treasure hunting is somewhat of a popular pastime here in Rovali. It is the sort of thing that many people get swept up in, the fever of gold, you understand. And each adventuring company, well, they can't afford to lose their secrets to another one. Why? Pilfering and pillaging between other people is just, it's so difficult and frowned upon that there are many wars that are fought between adventuring companies sometimes. As such, it is commonplace for many of these adventuring companies to keep an encoded cipher of all their greatest, deepest, darkest, most profitable knowledge. This sort of information is kept in a way that cannot be easily deciphered through mental gymnastics that many lesser ciphers are used with. No, these require a physical key to translate in order that only those that are authorized and understand the secret may do so. Are you familiar with ciphers much, or may I wax intellectual about my chosen profession?
I kind of just like wax. I talk away. I'm
see,
fully interested.
many lesser people that try to encode their information use a simple substitution cipher. One letter replaces another. Those can be cracked by a 4-year-old human child, you understand. No, a significantly more difficult one, it requires 2 additional steps. 1, a physical key. This key is not a lock sort, but a physical device that allows them to place it over a cipher. I'm actually trying to think of what the word is now. I had it and then I forgot about it.
I'm just enraptured, and this is great. Like, I love it.
I guess, the physical key, and then a textual key, usually a book, a specific book printed by a specific bookmaker. And you will take the key that has the holes punched in the very specific order, and only those that know which book and which page and which word of the many that are shown by the device would be able to figure out what the actual key is in order to decipher the text. So in order to do this, I would not be able to break it, short of a divine miracle, which, frankly, I have not seen in many years. You would require the physical key, and then the book, the cipher that allows you to understand exactly what it is. You would take that book and the page that whoever wrote this journal would have known about in that book, say page 7, and you place the key over top of it, and you would know that perhaps word number 3 that matches up underneath that would be the cipher, and with that you would be able to transliterate all of the information. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the key for this, but I recognize this symbol here. Yes. Now, remind me just a quick second. You have, was it 2 symbols or just one? One that your father and one that the killers had, or how did it work out?
There was I believe there was, what did I say? Now I've forgotten. I believe it was just that they both shared the same sigil.
Okay.
There was a sigil drawn on his paper.
Mm-hmm.
Here, yeah. There's that same sigil was drawn in the notebook, and that same sigil was also cut off like one of the dude's shirts.
Mm-hmm. Denjeric kind of gives a thin, almost like self-satisfied smile as he slides on off the chair. Feet, you see, follow me. I have something to wish to show you to see if there's anything that you might know about it. It was 50 years ago, and I still remember it just as well as yesterday. Come, follow, please. And he heads towards a door that leads into a back room.
I follow him.
Okay. Within, there's a decent amount of crates that are just jammed full. Not jammed as in literally so that they're crinkled, but just packed with parchments and paper of various sorts, all apparently very well organized. You can see that there's folders and there's little equivalent to sticky notes sticking out of them with all sorts of shorthand to be able to find things. But he pushes past all of these, sliding through the stacks that are no wider than a gnome's hip. So you have to turn sideways to shuffle on through all of this great information and knowledge until he gets to the back where there's a series of paintings that are just kind of leaned up against one wall, and he flips through 3 or 4 of them and then finally stops and smiles. Yes. As I said, I do remember this day almost as if it was yesterday. In fact, oh, geez, the memories that come with this. Please, if you don't mind, it's a little bit large, and the painting is like a 5x3 type of thing, feet, in a heavy wooden frame, so he gestures at it, and please, bring it back to the front where the light is better.
I don't know. He's helping me, so I'll help him. I'll carry it.
As you pull it on out, you do notice that while dusty, it does seem to be a painting of a series of ships and some bay of some sort. Nothing curious about it offhand. And as you bring it on out and place it on the table there, he immediately hops up on the chair, so he's standing over the table to get a better angle looking down at it. Yes. Are you familiar with the rumor, the vague myth of the city of Hamatorep?
No, I would say no, but could I don't know, try to roll a history check?
I mean, it's also the name on the staff that you guys have been dealing with.
Oh, I guess I wasn't. I'm sure Danzer would. I said it sounds familiar.
Yes, many people say the exact same thing. It's not something that many know of, aside from those in the treasure hunters circles. It is a myth. It is a place of legend. They say that the gods created existence there, that it is the life spring, the well of all creation, and full of all sorts of immaculate wealth, treasures beyond knowledge, information. It's been something of a hobby of many people over the last, existence, since the dawn of time itself, to try to find this fabled city, and none have succeeded. But every so often, perhaps every decade, perhaps as many as 5 decades apart, treasure hunters will push past their innate rivalry and gather together into a great hunt for the city of Hamatorap. And the last such hunt was indeed 50 years ago. And I wish that I could have been a part of it, but no, my duties here prevented me from doing so. But I was there when they christened the ships, when they gathered together one great fleet, for they believed that they had a clue that no one else had ever discovered that would lead them to victory and finding the fabled city, where no one else in any number of hunts over the thousands of years has ever managed to find. Look closely at this painting. What do you see? Go ahead and give me a perception check, please. Nat 1, 2, 2, nat 1, 2, 2.
That seems to be the theme when we really want something.
No.
Ah!
Hey, 22 ain't half bad. So, as you kind of glance over the painting, it is, it's a series of ships, decent-sized ones, very much like the ones that you've just been sailing on, though of a bit of an older model there. A group of 10 of them in a bay of green water. Brilliant, brilliant emerald green water. And the interesting thing about it is not so much that it's apparently just a gathering of ships, but the lead ship, the front ship, the one that's the largest, has a curious symbol painted onto the side of it, one that you are very familiar with. He taps it triumphantly. You see, that symbol, it came to represent the, what did they call themselves? The Eternal Jackals. They called themselves the Eternal Jackals as they set out from Everreach Bay 50 years ago, never to return. None saw any of the ships, nor any of the members of the fabled group. They set off in search of Hamatorap, and they never returned. You, my young friend, have a curious bit of history here that has been absent for 5 decades. I do not know what could have caused the death of your father, but he apparently was tied into one of the greatest hunts for the city of Hamatorap that the world has ever seen, and sadly vanished with no trace. Curious how he came by this, and how it fell into your hands.
Curious. This, like, I'm now off character. I'm remembering that all of this, so I'm gonna just say my character just was like, huh, and like, how big does this key physically have to be?
Oh, it depends. Many find that because each of their members would have a copy, and it can't be so large as to be importable, but not so small as to be easily lost or stolen by rivals. Generally speaking, the ones that I have seen, the ones that I have worked with, would be about the size of a human hand, perhaps 6 inches by 4 inches. It would be vaguely shaped in something that would give a meaning to the shape of the key. Some use skulls, some use swords, some use a fierce creature such as an eagle. This I do not know. I wished that I had joined that, and doubly so now that I have seen this journal, but I do not recall what they used as a key for that, nor which book they would have used as the transference. Yes.
Would you know of anyone who would?
Well, while the, I have to look over at the screen again. The Eternal Jackals, while they never returned, they did, you see, they gathered together many from different companies, forming their own disparate group that worked together for this common good, something fairly unprecedented in time. They did, for a short period, have their own guild hall that they worked out of, planning, you understand, gathering materials, gathering people, gathering records, working their way towards building this great fleet that you see before you in this painting. While that guild hall was 50-odd years ago, And I doubt that anything still would stand there. Perhaps, maybe things that they had left behind might still be in existence. I recall where the guild hall was. You might be able to inquire with its current occupants if anything was there when they moved in 5 decades ago.
All right, yeah. I'll check that out.
All right. He says that, let's see, the base was somewhere outside the city of Vilewater out west. And allow me to show you on, behold the map. But that is the wrong map. We want this one. So here we are, Ansia, Silver Court, home of the douchebag elves, Stormhaven, home of everybody else here. Vilewater is down here where it transitions more into the vast unbroken desert where the actual type of ruins. And here is Everreach Bay where those ships set sail from. So their base was here. They call it a staging area where they got things ready in order to move and set sail off from.
Iola's, you said you came with me, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Good to know. Okay. Now my brain is rushing because now with the staff and now the dreams, this just is like the dots are all coming together.
Dots are all over the place.
The detective warboard of insanity is all clicking now.
Yeah, Charlie Day's pointing. It all makes sense.
Yeah. It's I just gotta stare at it a little bit more, and I'm like, and I ask him, has he given me everything he's known? Like, I guess I should ask him. Like, is there anything else you could tell me about this?
Well, this particular symbol, I mean, it was the greatest hunt that had ever been assembled. I mean, as noted, between maybe once a decade, perhaps as infrequent as once every half century or so, a group goes together, a call, maybe perhaps just a handful of drunken people who declare this is the year that we will find the fabled city and gather together some treasure hunters. Most return empty-handed, if they returned at all. Some come back with strange tales that never get corroborated, artifacts and the like that truly cannot be from such a city as Hamatora. But this was unique. 50 years ago, it was the last hunt before DuskFire. No hunt has been called ever since. We are too presumably busy with surviving to do such a thing. But the curious thing about it is how many different groups gathered together for this single thing. Many adventuring companies, as noted, they war against each other. You can't have one treasure hunter group and another working the same area. They're at odds with each other. They need the same thing, the same goals, the same treasure, which cannot be easily split amongst their members. But this, strangely enough, even though it's 50 years ago, yes, I recall so many different groups, so many different people united together in a way that has never happened before. We truly thought that this might be the one. They were so beyond hyped, believing that they had information that no one else had on the location of Hamatorp, and for a while we thought perhaps they had discovered it and had never returned, preferring instead to stay with the gods themselves. But as the decades passed, most likely something horrible befell them. But if your father was somehow associated with this group and perhaps even killed over its information, maybe some returned, but chose to hold a secret so foul that none may speak of it lest they be killed. Curious. But no, unfortunately I know no more. I was but a simple caretaker of adventuring companies back then, not even in the great prestigious role you see me in today. And he gestures at the dusty room of artifacts around him. No, I wish I would have joined, and now knowing this story, I can't say that I would have not wished to have gone with, even knowing that perhaps murder most foul came of it. It is, as they say, the greatest adventure, to find the fabled city of the gods themselves. I wish you luck, but no more information have I on this.
Well, you've been incredibly helpful.
And he politely coughs and looks at the donation box by the door. Well then, You may stay and look around if you need. I am very happy to answer any questions that you would have, and perhaps there is some useful information among this treasure trove of information about adventuring companies and treasure hunters, but I must get back to my duties now. It has been invigorating. Makes me feel like a young gnome once again to realize my dreams might have come true somewhere out there.
I drop 10 gold in the donation.
Now he about shits a brick.
Dang. High roller.
My lord, I
Lord.
cannot thank you enough for such a gracious... Should you require anything, I will be at your beck and call while you are within the city of Ansia. All those who came before me, and all those in the honorable profession of Knowledge Keeper, we thank you.
I politely, thank him back. And I look at Iolus, and I'm like, the sushi has to wait. I'm sorry. We can't,
That's your takeaway.
No, I assume you're in there. I'm like, there's too much of the coincidence is uncanny. Like, we have to tell the others. Like, this is more than just, the dreams, everything. This is all coming together. We were brought together in borderline divinity. We have to. We have to go back. And I listen. It pains me. I want to set up a sushi shop as much as you do. But this is more important because it's for everyone. The
I look
gods
at
are
him.
for sure to make mates. I love that.
I look at him and go, well, you'll have to convince the fire of that.
Oh, I don't think it would be too hard to convince. Once she hears the city name, and once Anakai hears the city name, they're going to shit themselves. Sorry,
Everybody
right now then.
shitting themselves. No, we're doing that. I already said the gnome shit brick. So.
I keep forgetting that's fine.
No.
So-
It's only the F-bomb that gets the...
Okay, they're going
Oh.
to have a field. They're going to have a field day with this. There's no way. We need to have a meeting with everyone again.
Yeah.
But not as serious.
Aeolus, is there anything you want to do while you're here?
Yes. So I want to pull out the journal and ask him what he knows about the profane soul.
Oh, the journal that you found in the...
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he doesn't know anything about such things. He is about treasure hunting specifically. And while rumors of that sort of blood magic and the like, especially rumors of the group that were kicked out of Nyaxriths, I mean, everybody's heard about that, especially in intellectual circles, those that pride themselves on being in touch with the events of the world, always suspected it was for more than just tuition problems. But he doesn't have anything specific that he would be able to tell you one way or another on profane soul. That's more of a Warlockian type of thing than a treasure hunter type of thing.
Cool. I thought I'd ask. Figured someone might have heard something on one of their
It's
adventures.
a place of ancient records. There's good reason. So, unfortunately, not in this case. All right. Is there anything else the two of you would like to do while here?
Nope. I'm gonna go. Wait, do I have anything I want to sell? I mean, as long as I'm out and about.
All right. Well, while you look over that and try to figure on things, Anakai and Sam to the Temple of Voxna, yes?
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that you're looking to do at this point? Because I know that you're
I'd
just
like to
checking back in, but I don't know if there was something you wanted to actually do.
So we're checking back in, but I also want to see that if the head of the church is currently there, or if she's still back in, or if they are still back in Stormhaven.
The full head of the Church of Voxna, or just this local temple?
Or like the person in charge of this chapter, this
Yes.
sect in
Yeah.
Ravala.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Okay, so she's
I mean,
here.
the main. I actually forgot the term, but would be in Stormhaven. But the head of this particular temple is here in Ansia. which would basically be like second or probably third in command of all of the church.
Right. Okay. So then, yeah, I would like to go check in with them first.
Okay. That is no problem. The Temple of Voxna is, unlike many temples that are more ostentatious, large, grandiose buildings in order to show the glory of whatever deity they revere, the Temple of Voxna is significantly more austere. It's subdued in a way that simplicity is beauty, beauty is simplicity. So it's mostly an open air temple because this is honestly tropical and it doesn't really get all that shitty of weather down here. So it's an open air plaza with supports that hold up a simplistic roof. And there are areas that can be set kind of like, I'm trying to think of the word, portable wall type of things that can be fashioned into like private rooms and like, but most people here just reside in various tents or just free loaf it on various sleeping bags and the like. There is an adjacent building that is kind of more an administrative type of thing where they collect dues and, you know, do their simple things. But the actual church itself is an open air place where people can come to get ministered to give donations, to get food and water and a place to sleep wherever they require it without having to pay and the like. So it is definitely a collaborative kind of commune type of thing. But yeah, across the street, there's the actual like administrative offices where they have locked doors and shit so that people can't steal the offerings and the like. So presumably you head on over there and be given your position with all these things. There's no problem just getting an audience and working your way on in.
Right. So I would have flashed a symbol that would be in. It's sketched into a parchment that I keep with me at all times. That's just in my bag, and so I would have flashed that, and it's like the symbol of Voxna, but it also has a slight change to the actual design, indicating more of a agent status.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Call for the head for a meeting and to report in.
Okay. You're granted an audience very quickly.
For all kinds of like intents and purposes, for like a comparison, he would be like Liliana from Dragon Age.
All right. Makes sense. Also a good comparison given everything going on right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
God, I love that game.
Watch it on my channel. Plug.
There we go. Follow these people.
And what would be her title be? Because we don't think we discussed that.
Nope. And I did not look that up. So I need to do that. I'd rather give that the appropriate attention than slap something together on stream. So I'll do that soon this week. Or you can come up with something and we can slap it in there.
Episcopal?
Okay.
Gesundheit.
I mean, generally that would be Episcopal.
Episcopal, my bad. Language barriers. Or Deaconess.
Deaconess, I like that one.
Yeah. So let's go with the Deaconess, because she's not the head, but she is pretty high up.
Okay.
And I guess leave it to your naming.
Yes.
So waiting in her office or her administrative office, as soon as she came in, I would have dropped to a knee and bowed out of respect.
Easy enough. And
Sam would just stand there awkwardly.
let's see. First one that I find randomly is Deaconess Novus.
Ooh, love it.
Ooh. Super spicy.
Super spicy. Okay.
Yeah, my
so
throat is
comes
torn
in,
up from
Phil.
doing a gnome for 30 minutes, so I'm just gonna go with the flow at this point. And what are you looking
Phrasing.
for in particular? What are you looking for in particular, and what would you like to accomplish here?
So she obviously, since this is the port town, she would have obviously been informed of the dreams that they had and when they were sent out, and were probably the ones who saw them off in the first place when they went to that island to gain knowledge on this and seek counsel. First off, it would be just a sit down, report, go over the events, tell them about. First of all, he's going to report in about how the sea seemed to have calmed to a still, where there was no wind. They were stranded in the ocean, and then a blue dragon appeared and wiped them out, and it was all they could do to survive and shipwreck onto an island. And then go on and retelling the entire story by accuracy of their adventure, their meeting with the mercenaries, the meeting with Jonah, the purpose of the catacombs, how it was a blood and ritual like test chamber of sorts for experimentation, and that they found he was there looking for a relic, and at that point, when we're talking about the relic, I take it off my shoulder, unwrap it carefully, lay it down on the table, and unwrap it, and then show her the staff.
Okay. She'll run her fingers over it and take a look at the inscriptions and study it intently. And her conclusion, just listening to the story, even before you get to the point of the staff, is that something is brewing, something large, something global, something amongst the gods, perhaps even as strong or as important as DuskFire had been 10 years ago. The fact that you were spared is obviously a sign of Voxna's approval and guidance, but the fact that the ship was destroyed is obviously a sign of very large powers arraying their hands against the gods, perhaps other gods against Voxna again. It wasn't that long ago that the gods were infighting, though that time over the Mantle of Death. Hopefully the fighting is not starting back up again, but truly, with the dreams, with the survival, and coincidentally washing ashore in a place where you come into contact with this staff, an artifact that should belong to the church, is no coincidence, and believes that this is definitely something that should be pursued with all diligence and haste. But great powers seek to array themselves against you, it appears. That's as much of a voice as I'm going to do right now, my normal one.
To be honest,
yeah. I just want to touch that staff, that's all. Mm-hmm.
So honestly, Anakai will stand back up and just to be honest, Deaconess, I would rather pass this on to someone else. This seems a little more beyond just a orphan child in service and a treasure hunter.
And she smiles, and we don't get to question Voxna. Boom, mic drop.
Bam. No, I suppose we don't. It was her will that ended up saving me that day.
For many are called, but few are chosen. Wait, that's actually quoting the Bible, but similar enough.
Similar enough. And then, may I make a suggestion? I'll take the staff to Stormhaven, and we'll collude and bring our resources together with the Church of Temnar and seek their archives to gain more knowledge upon the staff and try and lead up in, let's say, an expedition of sorts.
The God of Knowledge would be a useful ally. Okay, that makes sense.
And I also have ties with both the Church of Voxna, primarily Church of Voxna, but also ties with one of the Temnar chapters, so.
Okay, that also makes sense.
And then bring up I'll ask for guidance on what I should do with the sudden addition of interested party members who shared the same dream.
They must have been called for a reason, though their own goals may differ than yours. Unfortunately, though, that may mean working with less, I don't want to say reputable.
No, one of them was a follower of Azadal, and they are just as crazy as warned.
I love that both me and Sophia looked up at the camera like, what you mean?
But if it was the exact same dream, that does imply at least an original primary source, a singular source. Perhaps even Voxna works through those of the other gods to a greater end, or perhaps this is all the gods working together against something far more sinister. I used to actually have that sound effect. I don't know where it went.
Voxna is essentially just Vishnu. It's like, yeah, you have prophets. That was just Vishnu reincarnated as your guys' prophet. You guys are actually just our religion. Yeah, that we got it. Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Like, thanks,
Got him. Really?
So maybe I'll hit you up off stream about this, about what your plans and thoughts are, as that looked painful.
Yeah,
A little bit.
On character motivation from here on out on that. I don't know if that's something that would be on stream or if we should hit that up off stream at some point.
I'm good either way. But the last thing you would bring up would be granting an audience for the rest of the party for them to open up and inform them of their perspectives and their dreams, if there's any differentials, and ask for her support in getting the backing of the church.
That can be done and should be done.
Okay, then with that, it would just be, I would carefully, I would leave, no, I'm keeping the staff with me. I'm going to wrap the staff back up carefully and tell her I'm going to seek out the treasure hunting chapter here and see if I can get any more knowledge on this, if possible, and then we will return tomorrow morning, if that's okay.
Sounds like a plan.
Nice.
Yes, sounds like a plan.
Awesome.
All right, and
then as soon as we leave and we're outside the doors, it's just like, oh, I don't want to do this. He's like cracking under pressure. He's like, no, I don't know. I just want to go home. I want to go back.
And
This sucks.
Sam, is there anything in particular you want to do while you're there?
Nope, she's just watching, honestly.
Okay. Sophia and Udalotsa.
And therefore, you see that Zatol should be the prime deity in which to hold. Oh, yes, we're here. And I take it and we arrive just outside the church. Is there any questions you have? Or did I speak too quickly?
I believe that covers everything that I could have. It will take me a while to process everything you have told me.
Yes, that is quite that's quite common among those who do not know the Hazatl and his divine notions of the universe. I would give you pamphlets, however, I fear that you're not very paper friendly, so I'll keep this to myself. However, I would love to keep you within my regards when it comes to this information, and I believe that you may find the teachings very enlightening and help you to make the more difficult decisions upon our journey if we all still choose to take it amongst ourselves. Regardless, my time here should not be very taxing. If you could, and she just takes Hubert's reins and just holds them up to Udalotsa. If you wish, you may come into the church, or you may stay out here with Hubert. It matters not to me. I will be just a moment.
This one will stay with your horse. This one finds that the gods generally do not like this one.
Yes, that would. And speaking on that, I know that we spoke briefly, but I did feel a certain presence in you, and I know that we touched on that briefly. However, you may want to take a few steps back away from this building. Some of our order, they get a little antsy when it comes to anything of undead, fae, or aboriginal order. Or origins, and they may misconstrue you as some sort of, I don't know, malicious creature bent on destroying something. They can be a little fanatical. I'm one of the more mild of the order. So just try not to do anything suspicious. Besides being, well, yes, I'll be right back. And I just turn and I make my way towards the church.
Okay.
Udalotsa hangs out outside and has a nice conversation with Hubert.
Makes sense to me. The Church of Hazadal, in every single way, is the opposite of the Church of Voxna. It is ostentatious, as described. Think, overwhelmingly, not gaudy, but just grand architecture in order to glorify the dignity and glorify the glory of Hazadal. There are six major gods, and many people consider them to be co-equal, except the Church of Hazadal obviously does not. And this is a scale of grandiose to just wipe out anything except for probably in the capital of the Church of Hazadal country itself. Nonetheless, big, boisterous building, stained glass, lots of bright, shiny metals, whitewashed walls, marble, etc., etc. It shines. It shines so gloriously. And there are lots of people there.
Yes. So I walk in and I take a breath of just clean, fresh air, away from the dirtiness and the unruliness of the society out there. And it's good to be within my own type of area. Everything is neat and orderly. Lines are drawn evenly and correctly, and it's so refreshing. However, the only purpose I have here, and I won't bore the party, is I take all of the information that I've gathered, the ledgers of the ones within the mausoleum, the blood subjects. I take the scratchings of the cipher from the rod of or the staff of Hamatorep. And I also what was the other thing I had? Also the book on Neuraxis as well, and the old papers. And I'm simply putting them into a depository for information, and essentially just a compile for all the information that I had learned. I also take a moment to take down all the names and lists of the people that I had found, and their jobs and whatnot, and all that information as well. And I put it all in a nice, neat, orderly fashion. And I hand that off to just to be deposited within the city, so that information can be shared amongst the rest of my order. And that is, and except for that, I would like to find a place within the church, a quiet place, some sort of praying area or a sanctuary, in order to spend just a few minutes to say some silent prayers to Hazadal before I leave.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a wisdom roll real quick.
Oh, God. All right.
Oh, wise Lord, please give me the strength to not kill the chatty one and to put up with the talking tree.
Oof.
As you find your way on to one of the, we'll call them penitent cells, a very simplistic room of stone where one can center themselves in, align themselves with the glory of Hazadal and the like, you find yourself spending some time contemplating and praying. And at first, you feel hollow, cold, empty. And there's like a moment, just a single, maybe second, where nothing feels right with the universe. And then there's a click and everything returns to the way that it feels normally. Your connection with your God, the divine presence when you pray and get your spells and the like. And everything is right once again, and all things considered. But for that 1 second, it was as if there was no connection whatsoever. Not just Hazadal, but as if everything had been severed for a moment. All interpersonal connections between people, between families, between living things, as if every individual was alone in the universe and you yourself was at the center of a great vast void, and then everything's back to normal.
And in that moment, I I stop and I feel lost for that second, and after everything returns, I open my eyes and I look up to whatever imagery or we have up there, and I say, "There is a path, and I do not know which to take. I know that you are aware of all things and how they should be, and we are not given such knowledge, and that we must find our path and seek only to be enlightened in your true order for the universe. I've been given visions, and at first I thought they by your divine hand, and yet these lessers that I travel with, they too have these visions, but they do not share the same connection to you. I do not know where to go. I am torn. My path takes me to one place, but my desires take me to another. If this is your will, then I will follow it with full devotion, but I have not been this torn in a long time.
Give me
Thank
1
you.
second to send a DM. What do you mean there was an error with your formula? Suck a butt.
That was the message from Azadel.
Apparently so. Error. Abort, retry, fail.
404, God not found.
Yeah, that was just... Okay,
Even better, just
apparently
like,
I mistypoed the letter W, so hate it when that
That's the
happens.
wrong formula, Temnar. Suck a butt. I'm tired of dealing with the. I'm trying to talk to my followers. No, you can't do this right now. Okay, yes, pepperoni, cool. Sorry, how can I help you?
And as those words leave my lips, I close my eyes and I stop. And then I open my eyes and I look back up at the symbol and I say, "Thank you, Hazatl." And I bow my head quickly and I stand, and I have a bit more haste to my step, a bit more purpose, and I leave that area and I go back towards the entrance, and I walk back out to where I hope to be a very non-inconspicuous Udalotsa.
Just a giant tree petting a big horse, yeah.
And I look up at him and say, "We're leaving. I know what we must do now."
This one will follow, lead away.
And I actually smile at that and I say, yes, I will. And I take Hubert and I begin to walk. And as we're walking now, for the second half, so you see, when Hazatl and I just keep going.
As if you had just had this like big enlightenment trip, like this, like God shine down on you, and you just like come back. Now, yes, where did I leave off?
Oh,
yeah,
yes, why you're weak.
Yes, chapter 3. I love that chapter. So, yeah.
And I make my way back to the Saucy Rattler.
And like Lotsa, who's very supportive by nature, cack by nature. He just is like, as he's you say like you come back and he's just like actually like lets out like a little no. Like just like a quiet no please not.
Make it stop. I don't want to know you're gone anymore. I don't want to know.
All right, so at this point, is everybody heading to the Saucy Rattler?
I mean, yeah, me and Iolus were just stopping and selling stuff, but like, I mean, if we could, but like honestly, yeah, we'll just probably go back. Unless Iolus, you have something very present you want to sell.
No, we can wait.
I was
Okay.
gonna hit up the Adventurers Guild or the Treasure Hunter Guild.
Give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. I'm back. All right. Yes. Anakai, were you guys going to go to the inn first or do your own shopping and then return back? Shopping, I mean going to probably the glass and brass hall.
Yeah, the adventurers, the treasure hunters guild is where I would be heading.
Yeah. Well, okay,
And
that
then
is
also sell-
separate than that. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so treasure hunting hall. What exactly would it be that you were going to do there?
I would want to request a meeting with one of the heads in charge currently, who is currently on shift, and say that I have found an ancient relic I need more information on and wish to ask him about.
Okay. All right. Trying to think what the appropriate way to not meta would be in this case. Because if you had a moment to reconnoiter with Ulril, he would probably be able to tell you that given the fanaticy that some people take towards finding the city of Hamatorap, that introducing the key might cause riots, potentially. But if you're just going to waltz on in there and show off the staff and be like, hey, I need some more information on this, I don't have a good way of saying that would be a bad idea.
I wouldn't be throwing it around. I'd be like, listen, I need to talk to the smartest person you got here, whoever's in charge, for important reason here. Unless I happen to run across Ulril and Aeolus currently browsing the shops to pawn off their goods.
Well, wouldn't that
on
be
the
a
way
nice
there.
use of inspiration if anyone had it?
Oh man, how great!
All right, we're going to leave it to a random check.
Can I get a point of inspiration for donating 10 gold to the very nice man and being?
I mean, that's in character, but it's not inspiration worthy. Nope, we're going to leave it to a random check. All right,
You just
here we
like
go.
keep donating money to like poor people to try to get inspiration all the time. You're just like, I donated 50 gold this time. Inspiration? You got any more of that inspiration? Like, stop it.
All right.
I heard y'all got some of that inspiration.
1D100, low for player benefit, 33 or below. 33% chance, 1/3. Here we go. Survey says
54.
Oh, that was actually kind of close, you know. No, you do not encounter them on your way. All right, you want to name drop that you need the smartest person there and that you need to talk about some treasure hunting type of duties.
Yep.
All right. You do manage to get, brought up with the current head on shift at that point, which is a barrel-chested adventurer type dude. Human, very large, bald, shaved head type of a thing. Muscles with muscles on top of them, and a lot of leather, tight leather pants type of thing. And
I'm intimidated.
Everybody's intimidated. But he is nonetheless a scholarly type who happens to also be a swashbuckling adventurer at the same time. He's Indiana Jones, except, he looks like the Nazi that he gets into a fist fight with at the airplane. Yep. He's a professor by day, an adventurer by night, and about 600 pounds of pure beefy muscle.
Sam.
Yeah.
Can you talk to him for me?
I won't know what to say, Anakai. Come on.
Just tell him we have something important and whisper in his ear, Hamatorap. That should be fine. I'm gonna like tuck behind her.
Sam's gonna just kind of sigh. She's going to go up to the man, kind of just lean against a soldier and just... Well, doesn't someone look nice today? Though, I have to ask if you could just spare just a little bit of time for me and my friend here?
He looks down at you, considering he's 6'6". I can always spare a little bit of time. Also, I always look nice.
I'm sure you do. And she's going to turn to Anakai and just smile and just... Do you mind if we go somewhere a little more private, perhaps?
arches one eyebrow, looks at Catman, looks back at you. All right. And heads to a side room. You know, they've got little, research halls where you can look up information, sit down and with a book and a nice chair and a little pot of tea and the like. He sits down in a chair that looks way too small for him. The wood groans beneath. He kicks boots up on the table. All right. What is it you need?
Sam just smiles. Well, my friend here seems that he wanted to talk to you about something, but he's a little shy.
Yes.
So hopefully, now that I've eliminated some of the, not opposition, but some of the other people, maybe you can actually speak up. And she's going to look directly at Anakai and just smile.
I'm like hugging the staff to me. It's still wrapped. I'm just like, oh, come on.
I can't explain this nearly as well as you can. You know much more
What's
about
there
it.
to explain? Oh.
I don't know. Why do you need to talk to him?
Sam!
I got you this far.
He
Don't
looks
blame me that I
back and
won't do all the
forth
work
between
for
the
you.
two of you. This is the most fun I've had all week.
Oh, trust me. If we stick around tonight, I can show you something much more fun. Dude, you better hurry up or Sam's just gonna hook up with this dude.
Hamatorip! He just says very quickly, just kind of like almost unlegibly, or just like it can be understood. Just like Hamatorip.
One boot comes off of the table. He leans forward, realizes that's awkward with the other foot on the table, slaps it down with enough force that it almost kind of shakes everything, and he sits up straight. You have my attention. What about the fabled city?
I'm gonna kind of like, I put a finger over my lips, kind of look around like paranoid that he's got like 5 just as large friends as he is about to pop out of like books, out of like magic, and just jump me for this. Like he's like full on paranoid by just how big and intimidating this guy is to him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to carefully unwrap the head of the staff just down till it shows the letterings where it says Hamatorip. It says, "We found this."
He stares at it for maybe 30 seconds or so, silently trying to puzzle through the language and figure things out before his eyes widen and then narrow. Do you have any idea how many times someone has come to this very guild claiming to have information on the fabled city of Hamatorip? So you found yourself a little trinket, I see. What exactly leads you to believe that this is anything more than a curious fake?
Well, we had to get into a rather protected kind of crypt mausoleum type thing that was sealed by blood magic.
Well, of course, most all the best treasures sealed by blood magic and crypts. Of course. Where
And the
exactly?
Man looking for it. The man looking for it spent decades of his life searching for this.
Now that is an interesting story for this specific staff. What man?
He went by the name of Smiling Jonah.
He looks at you, completely wordless, stands on up, walks over to the door. I see. Give me a minute. And he steps out, and you hear a very heavy click on the door lock.
And I'm voiding my bowels in this moment. I am.
See, that wasn't
Press
so
the brown
hard,
button.
Anakai.
No, it just got worse. It just got worse. It got a lot worse. Oh no. I'm looking for
bowels.
exits.
Well,
I'm looking
then
for exits.
Then I'm glad it's not my fault.
There
Your
are
mouse found an exit.
there are windows high on up in order to prevent any sort of sun damage from any of the notes that could be taken on in here. They're small, but about 10 feet on up, about 2 feet wide, maybe 8 to 10 inches tall. Just little draft type of windows. And why don't you go ahead and give me a perception check real quick. Audio, if there's a bonus for that anywhere for you.
Both of us or just him?
Both.
That's the
Hold
best
up.
chat today.
Why is my perception a +2 when I have +2 in proficiency and it's proficient? Interesting. I don't know. That should be a +3, I think. But
All right. Well, Sam, at least, you can hear the big guy talking to someone a little bit away, but you can hear the unmistakable but distant sound of smiling Jonah, very, very articulating in a gesticulate. You can imagine his hands are gesticulating as he's attempting to discuss something with the very big man.
Well, Anakai, I do believe you've just made the entire thing of you getting it sneakily for absolutely nothing.
what do you mean?
I mean, it seems our friend has found us. And I
Sophia?
happy.
Oh, he.
Look,
Okay, that was great.
she has a very large figure, but that doesn't mean that it's masculine.
No, okay, you didn't say he at first. You said friend and the threatening, and she's very threatening.
Let me put this clearly. Jonah is here, and he does not sound happy.
Oh, oh.
And you have just given up the fact that we have stolen it from him.
Well, out the window. Just gonna start climbing up the shelves.
All
I
right.
guess Sam's going too. There's not much she could really do.
In this case, I'm going to say that failure is not actually the interesting option. Getting away is the much better option because that actually leaves open the lingering threat. So I'm not going to make you guys roll a dex check to see if you get out or anything. No, you guys managed to get out, and it's going to be the looming threat of when anything comes down on you guys after that. That is the true possible failure. So you guys deftly, quickly, but not at all incoherent faculties, just absolute blind abject panic in some people's cases, paw their way, climb up the wall, like literally up a straight stone wall, like a Scooby-Doo cartoon type of a thing, and squeeze on out, leaving behind a fair bit of skin or fur or whatever, scales and stuff, out into the arid streets, and then sneak away very quickly, very, oh shit.
I imagine like the Scooby Doo, like the panic running that starts out like when they find a ghost and they had to like run away and they like do like this
For a couple, like a second in the air. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what would be hilarious at this point? You two do walk by as you're doing your sales now, and you spy a building window vomiting out Anakai and Sam.
I like to imagine like Iolus is just like, oh, this looks interesting. I'm like sitting here like slapping his shoulder. I'm like, Iolus.
He's stabbing a water puddle, looking for a dragon.
I'm literally like, Iolus.
I'm actually more imagining the end of Spaceballs, where President Scroob and crew are climbing out the nose of Mega Maid and the Planet of the Apes. Oh shit! There goes the planet. Nonetheless, yeah, like they bank around a corner and practically run into you guys as you're out shopping. You know, you've got armloads of presents or whatever happens in those stupid movies where they do that. Oh, you've got a bag with a breadstick sticking out because that's always a baguette, because that's how always people shopping. That's shorthand for people shopping, and like some vegetables hanging off the side of the bag. But in any case, you guys meet each other.
We need to go. We need to leave.
We need to go now.
I haven't fit. Okay, I like consent.
No!
Okay.
Go.
And then so like as we're running, I'm going to be like, by the way, my dad was also going for that city of the staff. So
Oh, fantastic! Jonah's chasing us. Less talky, more runny.
Why is Jonah chasing us?
If you say the H word, I'll kill both of you in the street right now. Run!
I know you will not.
I will!
I'll murder all of us.
Better than what they'll do to us for catching us.
Well, catching
I
you,
imagine
you're
at
the
some
one with the
point they
staff.
run into Sophia and I.
Yeah, you
walking
know
down
what?
the
That
street
would
as
make it.
well.
I mean, everybody just it's a domino effect. 2 run into 2, the 4 run into 6, and now everybody's Scooby Dooing through town, except Sophia doesn't Scooby Doo. So
Oh no, not at all. I watch them run and I see and see this is a clear example of when I said that the weak they inherit the earth and it's
While she's going on,
And
while she's going on, I'm running right past her. I am handing the staff off to her and running right past, just like bolting.
It's like those like videos you see of people who are like getting chased, like a dude with a football. He hands it out to someone, and then around the corner, like the football brigade like runs around the corner, and he's like, "Oh god!" You had to set this fire like hundreds of like Jonah's like men come around the corner.
It's very much a moment. We're out, and just staff is left in her hands.
Congratulations, you wanted the staff, but bye.
That's great.
Yeah, so
Our
he
friends
presses a
seem to
bundle
be-
wrapped in blanket into your hands.
And I see him running, and I look down, and I guess I can unwrap it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just tied up with bundle cord. And sure enough, it's the staff when you peek into it.
Hmm.
See?
Well.
Look, your god is provided, literally in the middle of a street.
Yes. So I look at this, and I nod my head, and I say, "Do you see, Udalotsa? Everything works out." And I
This
just
one wonders why our friends are in such great rush.
Oh no, I refuse to get myself tangled into that. I'm sure if they made themselves in some sort of mess, they can get out of it. But we're all going to the same place, so actually, could you hold on to this? And I hand him the staff.
This one will hold it. Yes.
Are you holding it still wrapped up? Or are you holding it unwrapped?
Yeah. Wrapped.
Okay. Now, keeping in mind that for the most part, no one knows a staff exists regardless. It's not like if you had it out in the open, anyone but a very select few, specifically Jonah and maybe anyone he would have told, would actually recognize it. So keeping that in mind, though, if anyone manages to translate the runes, then maybe all bets are off at that point. So you guys all reconnoiter back at the sneaky rattler. Shit, I don't even remember what I wrote
Saucy
down there.
Rattler.
Saucy Rattler.
Which
Thank
is
you,
my
random
nickname
generator.
Yes.
The nickname
Yeah.
for Sam.
Please, I was gonna say, please finish that sentence.
Oh no, it's Sam's nickname is the Saucy Rattler. That's
Hell yeah.
exactly what her name is.
Hell yeah.
All right.
So-
So yeah, I think we're all in the tavern.
Okay,
Or
we're
in.
going to close it off here fairly shortly because I am not feeling the hottest at the moment here. But we'll pick up we'll pick up with everybody in here and do a little bit of a post breakdown. So everybody returns to the Saucy Rattler or arrives there because no one's been there previously. It is, in all sense of the word, a dive bar that happens to have some closets where cots exist that potentially one could sleep in if one were willing to contend with bed bugs or the size of the room. I mean, they are really small rooms. Dive bar is very apt given that everything has a rundown, waterlogged feel. All the decor seems to have been harvested from ships that were most likely mothballed or literally under the sea at some point due to nefarious reasons or pure negligence. You can see that there's a lot of barnacle-covered bits and bobs, anchors, chains, winches, one bronze, presumably once upon a time statue that is aged, patinaed. I think bronze goes copper-colored green when it
Yes, when it
rusts, just like
oxidizes.
when it oxidizes. Thank you, just like copper because it's an amalgam of copper and tin. But you know, it looks like the figurehead of a vast ship that had been leveraged off of the seafloor, which makes you wonder where they got it because ships that scuttle out in the middle of nowhere don't get recovered. So most likely this ship fell apart right here inside the harbor. Nonetheless, the whole place has a salty smell, a sickly sweet, not at all like the beach itself, more like the things that die on the beach. But it does seem to be a very, very popular joint with people that do not have more than a couple of coppers to rub together. And it is relatively packed with good, common, down-to-earth sorts. No one's wearing fancy clothes, but no one's also, you know, looking like they're destitute, homeless type of things. Everybody is enjoying themselves. There's no one in here that's sipping morosely. People are chatting. They're talking boisterously. They're clapping each other on the backs of shoulders. There's a lot of dice games going on, 1 or 2 card games. No music whatsoever because bards are just expenses that need to be paid for, and that's just superfluous. Everybody wants to drink regardless of whether there's music or not. So it is a very good place to get lost in because everybody is nobody here. So as you guys wander on in, you don't really look out of place except for maybe Sophia with are you wearing plate?
Yes, I'm still wearing my plate.
And Tree, but that doesn't really stand out as much as you might think. No, I thought someone was gonna interject there.
Oh no, I apologize. When I was actually in my temple, I would have had my plate like completely like cleaned and detailed and such as I was praying. Such I'm assuming would be a feature within a place such as that. So,
oh yes. All the young acolytes must work their way on up through penitence and patience. That involves doing all sorts of menial tasks to teach them their order in the place of things. So I would envision that your appearance inside of this place would be akin to Uncle Buck, where he's at the party looking for the niece, and he's pretending to kind of dance. Not that you would pretend to dance, but and then the guy comes up and takes his hat and swaps things around, and everybody doesn't really seem to care, but they have fun at his expense type of a thing. So I'm assuming that, a couple of people come on up drunkenly and be like, Church of Azado, look at that. That's just amazing. Arm around you. I want to give you my thanks and prayers and, et cetera, et cetera. But no one really seems to give a crap that there is a armored lady in here or a tree or a cat or a snake. In fact, the elves in various whole and half forms are the most normal looking people in here, I guess.